my god, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Uh, I was at the shoot I was at yesterday. They were talking about seeing Revenge of the Sith in theaters too, and hell, I kind of want to do that.
Yeah, it's worth it. I mean, if you're able to, I highly recommend it. If not, I mean, just watching it in general is still so much fun, but seeing it in the theater was a lot of fun too.
Okay, awesome.
Start recording.
I do want to say one more thing first. I
Sure.
do hope I get like a traditional watching experience, but the worst case scenario is the Revenge of the Sith becomes like a Minecraft movie situation where everyone's just repeating the funny meme lines when they come up.
Uh my theater was definitely very respectful. Nobody got up and was just like yelling, "Do it!" or "This is where the fun begins." So,
or cheering when Anakin ignited his
yeah.
lightsaber in front of the younglings.
No, it was awesome. I thought people were going to cheer because it was kind of a packed theater, but no, people genuinely just watched the movie. It was awesome. So, yeah.
I miss those days.
Yeah. Really. I really do too. Hello and welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host, Hal, and with me here today, Standrew. Welcome back.
10,000 years after not being on this podcast will give you such a crick in the neck.
Yeah, it has been long. But you know what? I couldn't think of a better trilogy for us to talk about today for you to make your grand return.
Yeah.
I'm actually very excited for today's episode. I'm so glad you agreed to this. We're talking about the Disney Aladdin Trilogy. So I'm very excited. We might as well just get right into it. Let's start with the first one, Aladdin 1, 1992, classic Disney film.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, start things off, Standrew. What are your opening thoughts on Aladdin 1?
Okay, so this is an episode I immediately wanted to do like right away because this Aladdin is just like one of my all-time favorite childhood films. Probably not my favorite Disney film overall because I think Beauty and the Beast has it beat. I mean, that's like an almost perfect work of art.
Yes.
And Aladdin, there are some things in the movie that I look back and I like that may not have been so right, but ultimately I'd still give it a 10 out of 10 because it's a film that means a lot to me.
Yeah. Oh, it means a lot to me too. I adore this film so much. I realized upon rewatching and for this episode, I think I'm ready to say this is number 2 when it comes to Disney films. I'm in the same boat. I don't think it's my favorite of all time with Disney. I do think Fantasia edges it out just because Fantasia is just that special of a film. I think it means a lot more to me and more to cinema. But I think I think I'm opposite from you. I think I like Aladdin more than I like Beauty and the Beast. I love Beauty and the Beast. Like, let me just say that has always been my favorite. I think for years I've considered it my favorite. I think I'm ready to say Aladdin even moves forward more than Beauty and the Beast this time because there's just so much I love about Aladdin.
I know.
It's so good.
And to be honest, those two films are like neck and neck for me.
Sure.
Like I love them equally.
Yeah, this is no disrespect to Beauty and the Beast. Like you said, Beauty and the Beast, work of art. I love it. It's phenomenal. But yes, I think Aladdin, I think what I love most about Aladdin is its sense of fun. Not to say that Beauty and the Beast isn't fun, but it's not really a goofy, silly comedy like Aladdin can be at times. I feel like Beauty and the Beast, yes, it's aimed for everybody, but there is a sense of you have to take it seriously. And you do.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That is exactly what it's going for, and it does that very well. Whereas Aladdin, I think Aladdin is a bit more riskier because it is trying to be more of a comedy. And comedies, I think I'm starting to realize when they're not done well, they can be real abhorrent and they can fail real hard, fall real flat on their face, and it's pathetic and it's bad. But when done well, it can be some of my all-time favorite movie experiences.
Yeah, like I remember watching this one comedy movie with my dad a couple years ago. It was called a Road Trip, and it might be one of the worst films I have ever watched in my entire
Is
life.
that's the one with Tom Green, right?
Uh, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
he he's actually the funniest part of the movie,
Right.
honestly, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean it's Tom Green. It's okay. He made the actual greatest comedy of all time, Freddy Got Fingered. So
Yeah, that's exactly what comes to my mind.
I've
Eh,
yeah.
It was also directed by Todd Phillips of Joker Folie à Deux fame, which
Oh.
it doesn't help matters at all.
Ooh, oh, that's not good. Well, anyway, let's talk about a good comedy, Aladdin.
Yeah.
No,
And this is a great comedy, and a
yes.
lot of it comes from the man, the myth, the legend, Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, yes, very much so. I will say, I think this movie is still incredibly funny in the scenes that he's not in. I think the
Yeah.
comedy is still like incredibly strong. But the reason we see it as one of the funniest movies ever made is because of Robin Williams, you
Mm,
know? Yeah, he
yeah.
absolutely is the standout in this movie. He's what makes Aladdin Aladdin, because the rest of the movie is very good. And we can get into that later on, but we have to talk about the genie. He is quite frankly the biggest part of this movie. He's the one that was most advertised, he's the one most remembered. It's the genie, man. You know, when it comes to Aladdin, it's the genie. You all know how influential and how much of an impact he's
Yeah.
had on this movie's legacy.
Yeah. Like he's basically what you just said. You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, I mean, he's honestly such a special character for me, and in the movie, his constant referencing of media that doesn't exist in
Hmm.
the time this movie is set, it feels odd, but it doesn't feel forced. If that makes sense.
No, I agree. That's something I noticed is, and it's very important because yes, you is it weird when he makes references to media and celebrities that were popular in 1992 when this is supposed to be in Middle Eastern uh times back in like way back in the day. Way back in the day. Yes, that is strange. But you're right. It never feels forced. It feels like Robin Williams knows how to make those jokes work. I'll give you an example. There's that scene when he's kind of struggling. It's a very random scene, but it's when he's struggling to figure out like what he wants to say to Jasmine, and Genie comes over and he's doing a Jack Nicholson impression where he's like, "All right, Sparky, here's the deal." It's like,
Yeah.
yes, it's funny that he's doing a Jack Nicholson impression, but it's him being Jack Nicholson being like, "I'm giving advice about women," and it's like that's funny. So there's like dueling layers to that reference. It's a weird reference, but it still makes sense even within the context of the scene.
Yeah. And one of my favorite references, I think one that you mentioned in one of your letterboxed reviews of it, comes right before when the genie loses checkers to the magic carpet. And he's like, "I can't believe it. I'm losing to a rug,"
Yeah,
in Rodney
he
Dangerfield.
does the Rodney Dangerfield impression where he's talking about how pathetic it is he's losing to a rug, which is a very Rodney Dangerfield thing to say. Like, I can't believe it, I'm losing to a rug. Yeah, I can just imagine Rodney Dangerfield saying that. So again,
He does
it's a
he
funny
does a better
impression.
Rodney Dangerfield than Rodney Dangerfield and Rover
That
Dangerfield.
is true. That is true. But yeah, it's a great joke. It's a great impression, and it still works within the context of the scene. It's one of my all time favorite references is when it's during the Prince Ali song when they're walking through and it's a giant parade, and every once in a while Genie just pops in and just goes, "Don't they look lovely, June? Fabulous, Harry. I love the feathers." Like, yeah, that's a reference to the Macy's Day Parade, I would assume. I mean, it's them in winter clothes, and you see the breath, even though they're in Agrabah, this Arabian desert. Um, but again, that's funny. Even though I don't exactly know who he's referencing, the fact that he's referencing news anchors on a Macy's Day Parade, and it's during a scene where there is a parade, I still get the joke. It's still funny. Even though it is weird, it still makes sense within the context of the scene. It's it's great.
Yeah. And Genie is like he's a being that exists out of time, if that makes sense. Like
Absolutely.
he knows everything about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has like a TARDIS inside that lamp or something. He can just go
Yeah.
to any time period he wants and absorb every piece of content made up to 1992.
It's never really explained why he knows all these things. It's just genie magic, which I'm completely fine with. You know, the movie never really pays that much attention to it. It's more so just an excuse for him to make whatever jokes he wants. And the jokes
Yeah,
are funny,
yeah,
so I'm willing to kind of turn a blind eye to the logic in that and just be like, yeah, okay, he can just make these jokes. He can make his Johnny Carson reference. He can, be pretend to be Groucho Marx, whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
yeah. I mean, yeah. That's all I can say right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will say, I think this is not really the fault of the movie, but it is kind of shitty how Robin Williams didn't want to be advertised in this movie, and Disney did anyway, which is why he didn't return initially, because he felt he
yeah,
got screwed by Disney. I felt we should mention that, but it does suck because, I mean, even if he wasn't blatantly advertised, I feel like people would have figured it out pretty quickly, you know? Um, but I think it does kind of lead to this misconception that the movie is good because of Robin Williams. And I don't necessarily agree to that. I think when I was a kid, I thought that, where I think, oh, the rest of the movie's fine, but it's Robin Williams that makes it special. And I know I said that, Robin Williams is what makes this Aladdin as to what we know of it now. But I think that's because the Robin Williams stuff was so good. But there is still enough substance there without him that I think the movie would still be good. It's just, I don't think it would be necessarily amazing. It's in this weird category where I feel like the rest of Aladdin, the rest of the movie does have amazing elements to it that I adore wholeheartedly. But it is hard to imagine the movie without Robin Williams, you know?
yeah. That is true. I do want to say one of my favorite fun facts about. I think it was like half of the dialogue in this movie is just improvised, and the crew just had the film like rolling the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
just so they could have like endless amounts of Robin Williams dialogue they could animate for a certain like scene.
Yeah.
Man, like, and he just came up with it on the spot. That there's just something so special about these jokes.
Oh,
Like he
yeah.
was, I mean, Robin Williams. He hasn't done the best films, but he is a comedic genius in my eyes.
I agree. I think a lot of my humor comes from Robin Williams. I think because whenever I watch movies or I'm in a conversation with friends and I think of a quick joke, whether or not it's necessarily funny, I try to blurt it out because that's kind of what Robin Williams would do. Just his mind was going a mile a minute and just everything, he could make a joke out of anything. And I try to think like that, where, I'll be watching a movie and I try to riff on it. Or maybe the joke won't necessarily be funny, but in that moment, I think it's funny. I throw it out there. Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. But either way, that's just how my mind works. And I think a lot of that comes from being inspired by Robin Williams and the genie, to be more
Yeah,
specific, I would say.
I would agree with you. Like, the more I think about it, the more my humor has been influenced by my constant replaying of watching the genie scenes when I was 6 years old.
Yeah, because again, these jokes are funny. Have I seen them a million times? Yes. Are they as funny as they were when I was a kid? Probably not as funny, but there's still an insane amount of talent to make them funny, even 30 years later.
Yeah, yeah, and when I was 6 years old, I did not understand a single reference the genie was doing.
Mhm.
Not even Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
But
Some jokes
but
I
the
got, but some, yeah, I didn't.
yeah, I mean, I got it when he turned into Pinocchio and when he threw Sebastian out of the crab cookbook or
Exactly.
like the
Yeah.
seafood.
Yeah. I remember being a kid, and when he turns Abu into an elephant and he goes, "Talk about your trunk space, check this action out," I just went, "Oh, how did he do that? That's brilliant."
Yeah. And when he also turns Abu into the elephant, he also says Dumbo, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Dumbo,
Yeah.
elephant!"
I get that reference.
Because I am 6 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Again, yeah, I think these are definitely. I think even though I think these are funny, I think they did lead to Disney and other studios, a lot of other studios and filmmakers thinking, "Oh, we can also do reference humor." And then we get some of the biggest pieces of shit you've ever seen in your life because of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't want to blame the movie. I think it did inspire a lot of that, but I think this movie does it well because Robin Williams is actually funny. And like I said, a lot of the jokes and references still make sense within the context
Yeah.
of the scene rather than, I don't know, oh, look, in Chip and Dale, they have Ugly Sonic because
Yeah.
reference.
He's doing it out of earnestness. They're doing it out of the fact they could.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a shame because I think reference humor can be funny. Again, this is probably one of the best examples of that, where reference humor does elevate the movie, and I think it is genuinely hilarious. But, I think I have gotten a little cynical over reference humor the past couple of years because of the worst examples you've ever seen. So,
Yeah.
But
I'm
willing to admit when it's done well, and this movie, it's done well.
Very, very well, much more well than Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. I didn't hate it, but I didn't really like it either. But then I saw your review, and I was like, okay, I kind of do hate this now.
I have not thought kindly of that movie in the years since. Nobody really talks about it anymore. I mean, maybe they do. I just don't see it as often, which, it's pretty telling.
I haven't thought about it or talked about it much. Like, I would love to compare that to Roger Rabbit, but that would just be like, what's the point?
Yeah, that's unfair.
Roger Rabbit is obviously the better movie.
Of course, yeah. It's unfair at that point. It's like, oh, it's so unfair at that point. But whatever. Did we have anything else we wanted to say about the genie? Because there are other things I want to talk about in this movie that I think should be talked about.
Not off the top of my head, but I guess Love His Song. Like I played that one a lot when I was a kid.
Friend Like Me rules. Yes. It's spectacular. Like there's no other word for it. It's spectacular. Not only from Robin Williams's singing, which is really good, but also just the energy, the style of it all. It's phenomenal. It is one of my favorite songs in the movie. The sequences are just brilliant. It's so fast.
I love how it's completely different from every other song we've heard previously in the movie. First the songs you hear, like Arabian Nights and One Jump Ahead, and they sound like they could be in like a Broadway musical of that time.
Yeah.
And then you get to Robin Williams, and he jazzes everything up.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. But yes, it is a very different song than what we've been getting the past, as the movie's been going along. But it never feels out of place, even though it is a different kind of song.
Yeah. It's just amazing. And I also feel like we should talk. We don't have to delve too much into this, but if we're talking about the genie and a film called Aladdin, we should talk about the Fresh Prince of Blair's interpretation of the genie.
Well, yeah, because I did rewatch it. I felt I'm going to be in an Aladdin mood. We're going to be talking about it, and I could easily just shit talk Aladdin 2019 because I've seen it and I hated it. But then I thought it has been a while, and my philosophy is I don't like to shit talk a movie unless I've seen it. And I feel like an addendum to that philosophy is that sometimes I haven't seen a movie in years. And so it's really hard for me to remember specifics when it comes to shit talking it. So I felt maybe I should give it at least one more chance. Was it as bad as I had remembered it? Yes, it was bad. It was as bad as I remembered it. It's bad. It's genuinely down there for me when it comes to the live action remakes as being some of the worst. Whether it's objectively one of the worst, I don't know. It's definitely down there personally because of just how much it sucks, man. It just sucks. It's so bad. It's both really cringy and really really boring and ugly. It's almost kind of hard to put into words other than the negative words you can think of off the top of your head, you know?
Yeah. I regrettably have only seen bits and pieces, but
I mean, that's the way to go.
yeah.
I will say specifically though, with Friend Like Me, that version, it's a lot slower. It's a lot more pathetic. It's uglier, you know, like the bright colors of the original that are, and the animation is so quick and so fast and it's beautifully animated. And then in the live action one, it's slow, it's clunky, it's awkward. It's exactly night and day where you think, oh, this is why the original Aladdin was animated the way it was, because
yeah, exactly.
you can really only achieve this kind of speed with this character in animation. You cannot do it justice in live action. It's I don't know. You just have to watch both versions and be like, oh yeah, I'm getting a much better experience from the original.
Yeah. I'll take your word on it, but
yeah. So
all right,
I'm glad
let's talk about some other parts of this movie now.
Yes, let's move on. Let's talk about the titular Aladdin. Even though the genie was the biggest part of this movie, we still got the title character of Aladdin to talk about. Yeah, I like him. I think he's a very likable protagonist. I really, really like how he's animated. He's like this kind of suave, kind of, you know, quick-witted kind of character. But he's not unlikable, you know?
Yeah. I mean the first his first musical number, One Jib Ahead, it paints him as like this low life street rat who robs and is constantly running from the police and that kind of stuff. But then he has he gives his bread to those homeless children, and you start to realize, oh man, he's got a heart of gold.
Yeah. I feel like this kind of characterization can go very wrong, where you're characterizing this guy who does lie, does steal, does all this kind of shitty things, but he has a kind heart inside, you know, where he gives the homeless children the food. I feel like a lot of times that can come across as kind of manipulative, where it's like, oh, see, we have the scene where he's being nice to children, so you have to like him now. But I never feel cheated with this movie. It feels very genuine. It feels like, no, this is exactly what Aladdin would do, you know?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't. Well, it never he's never really painted as like an asshole during like his first scene.
Yeah.
And that's the trick.
That is the trick. That's a good point. Yeah. Because when you think of people down on their luck in a lot of movies, they will be portrayed as kind of cynical and unlikable. And I mean, duh, they're in a very bad situation. And I get that. But then in turn, that makes it kind of hard to side with them in a lot of times. But yeah, you're right. Aladdin is very much an optimist. He's very much a very happy-go-lucky kind of character, even though he is in a very shitty situation. And they never really have... He's not positive to the point that it's unrealistically happy, because he does have moments where he's upset and, you know, kind of angry. Like, literally when he meets that prince who almost kills the children, and he just goes, if I were as rich as you, I could afford some manners, you know? And then when he's just like, you are a worthless street rat, and he goes into his thing where he's like, you were born a street rat, you'll die a street rat, and only your fleas will mourn you. Hard line. But also Aladdin genuinely gets offended by that because it sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I would be offended if some uptight tiger fucker said that to me.
Dude, I'd kill myself if he told me my fleas would mourn me.
Yeah. But yeah, he's he's a great protagonist from like his first like 10 minutes on screen.
Again, one jump, the opening song, again, that's another example of the speed at which it's animated is so much fun. It gives this energy that makes you really jump into the world and characters, and you're just enveloped by everything. Again, done so much worse than the live action one. A lot slower, a lot more awkward.
Yeah, because in cartoons you have faster energy in cartoons. You can get away with much more.
Yeah, you can get away with speeds you can't get away with in live action without making it look ridiculous. You can make the characters go as fast and as slow as you want in animation. In live action, you're limited to the performer, which can work in its advantage. Look, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I've never been one of those people that goes, "Oh, animation's better, no, live action's better." They both have their pros and cons. It depends on the story.
Yeah. I will say I'm kind of turned off to animation that intentionally tries to replicate like live action movement, because it's as clunky as it would be in live action.
Yeah.
It's not what the world was made for.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes that can even go too far and it's pathetic. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And at the same time, I love like when live action films work on cartoon logic. Like I watched Hundreds of Beavers earlier this year. That was phenomenal.
Oh, dude. Hundreds of Beavers, man. The sweep is still going. I've already done the episode on it, but it will never leave us. Hundreds of Beavers is that based.
Yeah. I wish the remade Disney films would work on that cartoon logic with their live action stuff.
Yeah, we've never seen
they
that.
They want to make it real.
Yeah.
Or as real as a green screen room with CG buildings can get.
Yeah, and it doesn't look good. I've said this before, I'll say it forever. There has never been a live action Disney remake where it's good. You know, there's a couple. I will say the one outlier when it's come to, I actually prefer this to the original, was Pete's Dragon. I do think the live action remake of Pete's Dragon is better than the original, but also I didn't like the original and I don't like the remake. So there's not been a single live action Disney film I've seen, and I haven't seen all of them, to be fair, but of the ones I've seen, woof.
I have only seen Pete's Dragon like once, and I couldn't tell you a single plot point.
Yes. Yeah, I don't remember liking it at all. So
I think it's interesting to have an animated character in your live action film. They should do that more. They kind of stopped after Roger Rabbit and David Hasselhoff in the SpongeBob movie.
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess, I don't know, maybe Cool World turned them off of that, where you had a live action guy in an animated world and nobody liked it. So, you know, it is something I feel like we should be seeing more of, especially with the way the technology has evolved. You know, they kind of did so in Chip and Dale, but, you know, we all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
Not good.
And the recent SpongeBob movies, not good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I have a soft spot for Sponge Out of Water, but Sponge on the Run.
So do I.
Woof.
So do I, yeah. Sponge on the Run. I have not seen the Sandy movie, and I love Sandy, but I don't want to see that.
Oh, dude, the Sandy movie is awful. that movie just plain sucks. It's bad. I've watched like 12 videos on the subject. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody just listen to the SpongeBob episode we did. I go into more detail over why the movie is just awful.
Yeah.
But back to Aladdin, a good movie. I want to talk about Jasmine, the Disney princess of this movie.
Yes.
I like Jasmine. I don't know if I would say she's my favorite Disney princess. She's definitely not. I think I get more out of characters like Belle and Ariel. But I think for what she is, I think she's very likable. I think I like a lot of her scenes. One thing I actually really wanted to talk about was kind of her introduction scene when you first see her, where so the asshole prince is left. You see his underwear, haha. But then the Sultan goes out to see her, and they're having a conversation, and she's talking about how she wants to be free. And I noticed this time. She goes over to the bird cage, and as she's talking about wanting to be free, she takes out a bird. And then when the Sultan starts talking about how, yeah, I understand, but I just want to make sure you're taken care of. And as he's saying his, side of how he sees it, he takes the bird from her and puts the bird back in the cage. And then once he leaves, after saying, Allah forbid you have any daughters, Raja. And Raja's like, oh? Funny scene. But then she goes over to the birds and she opens up the cage all the way, and all the birds fly away, start flying into freedom. It's like, huh, what an absolutely well-directed sequence,
Yeah.
The actions that they're doing, whether, subconsciously the actions they're doing of taking the bird out of the cage and putting the bird back in the cage kind of represents what she's talking about, of wanting to be free, and him just wanting her to be protected, be safe within the confines of this cage. It's like, holy shit, you can have well directing and blocking in an animated film, in an animated G-rated film for kids.
Yeah.
This rules.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome for people who notice, It's I still think you get what the characters want from them saying, because they literally say what they want. I want to be free. I want you to be protected, But you still get it visually with the bird metaphor in the cage. It's awesome. I never noticed that before.
Yeah. I never noticed that too. I know that there was birds and there was a cage, and she lets the birds out of the cage. I think somewhere in my mind I knew that symbolized freedom.
Yeah.
But I never connected the dots.
You never connected the dots?
Then.
I mean, it's still an awesome visual. I've seen that visual in Disney commercials all the time, where she opens the cage and the birds fly away. Like, that's a very iconic shot in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I love Jasmine. 6-year-old me had a crush on her. Not so much 21-year-old me, because she's like, what, 16?
Well, I looked it up for non-creepy reasons. Don't try to pin that on me.
Yeah. I gotcha.
It's never explicitly stated. I think in early drafts she was said to be 15 or 16. But also she's a cartoon, so like she's just drawing, so like either way it's weird if you do. It's
even if it is just a cartoon drawing, you still gotta have like morals.
Oh yeah, which is
sort of stuff.
Which is why it's like, you know what, I don't care either way. Just, I don't want to know if people have a crush on her nowadays. If you're a grown adult, don't be bragging about that. If you're a 16-year-old bragging about that, that's also weird. Just, it's a cartoon character. Stop talking about them that way.
But if you're really young and this is your first, like, this is what a woman looks like, then that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know any 6-year-olds listening to us right now who can testify.
Exactly. Yeah, when you're that young, you don't even understand how to be subtle about these things. So of course you're going to talk like that.
Yeah, but yeah, she's great. One of my favorite Disney princesses. She fights for herself. One of my favorite scenes is like when she's calling out the Sultan Jafar and that Prince Ali schmuck when they're
whoever he
debating.
Is.
Yeah, who like but they're deciding her future. Like, how dare you? I'm not just some prize to be won. Like 7-year-old me was like, girl power.
Yeah,
this was my first exposure to girl power. I never watched stuff like My Little Pony, so I don't know what girl power was until this moment.
I didn't know women had rights until I watched this movie. I was like, no kidding. No, but you know what? It is a genuine issue for her where she feels like, she doesn't get a say in her future. So of course, when she sees these three men of power talking about her as if she's an object, she is gonna say something like, hey, cut it the fuck out, knock it off, So yeah, that makes sense. And I love that scene too, because she stands her ground. That's great.
And of course, the Prince Ali charms her with the magic carpet, and she's like, you know what? Yeah, okay, I can let this. I'm gonna decide my future, and it's gonna be this guy who was gonna decide my future.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some, hardcore feminist out there that sees that and it's just like, she actually should have decided to be a lesbian or something like that. It's like, you know, it's a movie. Who cares? But also I think it comes from her genuinely wanting to choose Aladdin because she does find him charming and likable, and he does show her a world outside of the palace,
Yeah,
beyond wanting her because he starts to learn to see her as an actual person, and she begins to express her ways and wanting to figure out what she wants for herself, and she genuinely wants for Aladdin and he wants her. So I never feel like, I mean, yeah, when you look at it that way, it is funny that she's like, yeah, I choose the guy who wanted to choose for me anyway. But I think the movie does a good job at still expressing it where it feels like she does come from a place of actual want,
yeah, because when she was out in the marketplace, she met Aladdin, and she kind of did fall in love with him,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and when she realizes that Prince Ali actually is like Aladdin, when he takes her on the carpet ride, where was I going with this metaphor? I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I mean, it's a good scene, the whole new world
Yeah,
sequence. Let's talk about that because that's
it's
also,
yeah, it's a beautiful
yeah,
beautiful song.
it's a beautiful song. It's seen as one of the highlights for a lot of people. I agree. I don't know if I'm as in love with it as other people are, but I still think it's a genuinely
Yeah.
amazing song, a genuinely amazingly edited scene. It's beautiful in every way. I will say it's a little difficult for me to watch it without thinking of the Lilo and Stitch commercial that parodied it. Because I
Oh
watched I
yeah.
watched that commercial a little bit more as a kid than I did actual Aladdin. When they're flying
Yeah.
across the moon and then Stitch comes over, and it's just like,
I
eh. And I love that
I
scene because I quote it almost as much as the actual movie when like Jasmine flies off with Stitch and Aladdin just goes, "Hey, get your own movie."
I had a similar scenario, but it was like the Beauty and the Beast version where Belle and the Beast were dancing, and then Stitch is watching from like the ceiling, and he's crawling on the chandelier, and then the chandelier just falls and almost kills them. And then
uh,
Belle's like, "I'll be in my trailer, thank you very much."
That's funny. See, those are cute
Yeah.
commercials, not the modern Lilo and Stitch commercials we've been getting. But
I have not even been paying attention to those commercials, but yeah,
they all look bad. It looks bad.
yeah.
Duh.
Unlike this film, which looks
Good,
stunning.
which looks stunning. Yeah, I think it's very much a testament to the movie's strengths as a story. The fact that Aladdin does lie, and there is a liar reveal trope in this movie, but you never
Yeah,
feel like you never hate Aladdin. You understand his perspective on wanting to lie for Jasmine. And you definitely still buy Jasmine falling for Aladdin by the end, even though he did lie to her, because, the things that she did fall for are still him. She doesn't fall for him because
yeah,
he's a prince.
yeah,
She falls for him because he's a charming, likable guy.
yeah, and like even after like Jafar reveals that plot twist, more spoiler alert, people, Prince Ali is actually Aladdin.
Whoa.
She's stunned about it, but she doesn't hate him
Yeah.
for it.
She's just disappointed
Yeah,
because she's like, I thought I trusted you. Yeah, it is a very much a you lied to me kind of moment, but it's done so in a way that
yeah,
it doesn't feel tropey.
yeah. It's you lied to me, not you lied to me.
Yeah, exactly. There's a huge difference. Because I do like the scene before that where Genie is, excited that Aladdin's gonna set him free, and Aladdin is thinking, "Man, I'm coming up with all these responsibilities. I can't set you free, Genie." And it is a bit of a third act breakup, but again, done so in a non so tropey way. I do like the scene when Genie takes Aladdin and just goes, "Genie, I wish you free."
Yeah. Yeah, and he has the script of the movie in his hand, like Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh yeah. Wait a minute, I'm not supposed to lose. um there's a part in that scene I wanted to bring up, but only if we talked about Iago. But I think before we talk about Iago, we gotta talk
about his master.
We gotta talk about Jafar. Jafar rules, dude. I love Jafar.
He might just be my favorite Disney villain.
Ah, man. I don't know who I would consider my favorite Disney villain. It's either him or Ursula or Captain Hook. Like, those have got to be my top three. I can't decide my favorite out of the three of them, though. But Jafar, oh my God, he rules so hard.
Jafar and Ursula.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jafar or Ursula for me. Like, just
Jafar
they're having so much fun.
Yeah. Especially Jafar. I think Jafar is great at being like this very threatening. Like, first of all, his design is awesome. It's this tall, lanky character. He has these gigantic, thin hands that just look decrepit and old. He's got this. He's got this monstrous goatee. He's got this long cape, this big hat, the big staff. It's a brilliant, brilliant character design for a villain.
Yeah.
But also just the voice performance is spectacular. Yes. Jonathan Freeman, oh my God, he rules. Because he's able to be this kind of low-key, kind of threatening guy, but then later on in the movie, he can get crazier and crazier. And it still feels within character.
Yeah, that is the sound of a man losing the plot in like the third act.
Yeah, because he's finally getting what he wants, so he's not taking a lot of it seriously, where he's able to make he's making a lot of puns and jokes, and I feel like in a worse written movie it would come across as tonal whiplash and very inappropriate. But it works. That's a testament to the character design. That's a testament to the voice performance. The fact that he can do both very threatening, but also very funny line deliveries. And it feels natural. And I can't give enough credit to Jonathan Freeman. He knocks it out of the park.
And not to contrast with another bad movie again, but Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin, making puns every single chance he gets.
That's an interesting.
Not given a chance.
That's an interesting comparison, because I was going to say Jafar from the live action Aladdin, who, oh my God, that guy fucking reeks as Jafar. He is not good in that movie. I can't even picture him in my head. He's bad. And I feel kind of bad because I looked up the actor's filmography, and he's been in a lot of stinkers. He was in Aladdin 2019. He was in The Mummy 2017. He was in Black Adam. It's like, oh my God, dude, you just have the worst career. I feel bad. Genuinely. He hasn't been good.
Needs to find a new agent.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't been good in a lot of things I've seen. But I still feel kind of bad because I'm like, put him in at least one good movie. Jeez. Give my bro a W. My God.
Yeah. Maybe one day it'll be me. I will give him the W.
I can fix him.
But
Jafar,
I just bring. Yeah. I brought Mr. Freeze up because of the puns.
Right,
and Jafar does the puns better because you can tell Jafar is going insane with each pun, whereas Mr. Freeze is just not funny.
Yeah, it starts off with the puns, and again, it's Arnold. For whatever reason, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Who came up with that? Now, granted, it's been years. I have a lot more love for Batman and Robin now because it's so dumb and stupid. I love that movie. But initially it's like, what are we doing here? Yeah, it's a weird movie. Yeah. It needs its own episode someday. But yes, you're right. Comparatively, it does not earn the puns the way that Jafar does in this movie.
Yeah,
I agree. I completely agree.
It's not like the rest of his lines are made up of puns too. He was just having fun for a moment, and then when things got serious, he turned into a giant cobra.
Let me show you what a snake I can be.
That traumatized me, honestly. Like, but I watched that scene over and over again. Like, that final battle was such a good final battle. Like, it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. First off, animated beautifully. You know, him turning into a snake. Yeah. Oh my god, it's beautiful. How like the fire surrounding Aladdin like just becomes part of the snake. Yeah, it's great. Oh, he's this giant snake. And it does lead to another really funny genie moment where he's like being the cheerleaders, and you get Jafar, he's our man.
Jafar, he's our man. If he can't do it, great.
Yeah, so good.
Of all there are so many parts I quoted.
Yeah,
from this movie.
Yeah, it's a very quotable movie, but I guess before we get into more of the climax, we got to shout out Iago, the late great Gilbert Gottfried. Oh my god,
yes,
he's one. I feel like Gilbert Gottfried is one of those actors you either love him or you hate him, and I think now I very much love him. Yes, his voice is unique. It can be a bit much, but I think more often than not, I'm okay with that voice because one, it's a funny ass voice, but also he's a genuinely funny human being. Like, he genuinely is hilarious.
Yeah.
And him as Iago is perfect casting as far as I'm concerned. He rules as Iago. Again, Iago, not the genie character, but he gets a lot of really funny lines in this movie.
Yeah. Very, very much. Yeah. Like, you cannot imagine anyone else voicing this parrot.
No, absolutely not. Oh, actually, judge of character. Not.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, it needs to be Gilbert Gottfried as Iago. It's iconic. It's as iconic as Robin Williams as the genie or James Earl Jones as Mufasa in my mind. I know that's kind of weird to say, but it genuinely is up there for me in terms of actor to character.
Yeah, like he is the character. He was born specifically to be this character.
Yeah, and he rules. He's so funny. Oh yeah, and one of the things I wanted to mention actually is I love how they go about showing how he's a good impressionist and how they play with that. Because at first, there's that scene where Jafar is getting called out by the Sultan early on, being like, hey, if you're going to execute somebody, let me know first. And Jafar's like, terribly sorry, Your Highness. And Jasmine just goes, when I'm queen, I'll have the power to get rid of you. Great moment.
Yeah.
And I love that because then, once they leave, then Iago gets to just do the impression where he just goes, I will have the power to get rid of you. And they literally just have Jasmine's voice actress say those lines, so it makes it sound like he's just doing a perfect impression. It's a great joke. I love when movies do that. Movies or shows, like, when a character will just have the voice of a different character and they use that as an impression. Like, that's funny. But not only is it funny, it's then used later on in the movie when there's a scene. It's the scene when Genie and Aladdin have a falling out, and Aladdin thinks he hears Jasmine calling him, and so then he walks away from the genie bottle and the genie lamp, I should say. And Iago is there, and Iago is the one doing the Jasmine voice as he's disguised as a flamingo. And then he goes over, finds the lamp, and he does an impression of Jafar where he's like, excellent work, Iago. It's really, really funny because they have the actual actor saying those lines.
Yeah. He also kills a flamingo when he tries flirting on him.
You got a problem, Pinky?
Yeah. I think there is one thing I don't understand, though. Iago is imitating Jasmine, calling Aladdin out somewhere. And so you expect Aladdin to go to like the menagerie or whatever, and he finds nothing there. But as it turns out, Jasmine already has been waiting for Aladdin the whole time, so it's kind of odd. Personally, for me.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you do bring up a good point. They could have just had Jasmine call for him and him walk away from the lamp, and Iago would have gotten it anyway. I don't know. I think it's funnier to have Iago with the voices, so I'm okay with that being the point.
Yeah, I mean, it makes for a funny scene, and if you're gonna if you're gonna warp like rules of logic, do it for comedy.
Do it for agreed. Hard agree. Yes, I agree on that. It is funny, so I'm okay with it.
But we got Iago, the best animal sidekick. How about we talk about the other animal sidekicks too, because they're nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, let's mention Abu and Magic Carpet because they're just as much characters as anybody else. Abu, great Frank Welker monkey sounds. First off, just spectacular. But yeah, I like Abu because he's this, this troublesome little monkey character. But then he's also an elephant for a majority of the movie. But again, he still has that those characteristics that we know of Abu.
Yeah. He keeps trying to open up a banana, but it keeps failing.
That is funny. I like because he doesn't speak English technically. I was noticing the subtitles were interpreting a lot of his noises as words. Like he would say like Aladdin or oh no or something like that. They would interpret it as words, and I can see that, but very much so he was not literate or able to speak English, but you still get what he's saying or what he's feeling thanks to, again, Frank Welker's performance and also the animation.
Yeah. And then you have the Magic Carpet who cannot speak at all, and yet you know exactly what is going through its head.
Oh my god.
When it's doing.
I know I get more of a personality out of the Magic Carpet in this movie than I do a ton of actual human characters in other movies.
Like the 2019 Aladdin movie.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's easy target, but it's true. I feel more for the carpet in this movie than I do the human characters of Aladdin 2019. But it's true. It is so true, though. Like, that's not even a joke. Like, it sounds like a joke, but it's true. I genuinely do not care for any of the characters in that 2019 movie. Whereas here, I'm genuinely torn up when Carpet gets unraveled in this movie.
I know.
It hurts.
He was my boy, my bud.
Yeah.
Things and he has a beautiful design too.
Oh, dude, we got to talk about that. Such an intricate design that gets less so as the movies progress, but we'll get to that when we get to that. No, I think it's a great character design. It's because he is a character. He's a walking carpet.
Yeah. And I like how he and the genie have chemistry. They've been friends for like the past few millennia.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, totally. And again, it's Robin Williams as a genie talking to a carpet. And I feel their friendship. It feels more fulfilled. It feels amazing. I genuinely buy this friendship between a magic carpet and a big blue genie.
There's just something magic about this film, and it's not just because there's a magic genie in the film. He makes a lot of this film's personality, but there's so much more to it. There's so much going on. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It doesn't feel out of place.
No, I genuinely but the first 10 minutes I was rewatching this, I knew fully well that this was a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, I didn't even have to see the genie before I was like, no, this movie's a full 5 stars. It rocks that hard. Even I will admit because I was watching this is a Musker and Clements Disney movie. And Musker and Clements, I've noticed, do have this tendency when they're doing their movies. A lot of their movies tend to have that kind of combining of 2D and 3D animation. Because you get this movie, you get the Cave of Wonders. The big lion head coming out of the sand, very much 3D animated, even though this is a 2D animated film. But even though it does look obviously 3D animated, and then you even get like the sequence in the Cave of Wonders when they're flying away from all the lava. It's very much early computer graphics of the early 90s. But I think the 2D animation blends with it pretty fucking spectacularly, I must say.
Yeah.
Like, it still looks amazing. There's this really awesome shot when the Cave of Wonders is first talking and the camera's panning and it pans to Jafar. And it's just this really excellent scene that I'm like, oh my God, they actually took the effort to make the camera move. I love when animation does that. Like, because you can do that in animation where you can move the camera however you want it to look. And then a lot of movies won't do that. They will just have like a flat static shot and just leave it there. And it's like, no, move the camera. Yes, there is no technical camera there because it's the world of animation, but you can still do that. You can do anything you want, like with perspective and stuff like that. So I really, really appreciated that shot of like the pan, because it's just a simple pan of like of it going around the lion head as it's just talking and just explaining something. You could do that with it just staying still, but no, they took the effort to actually pan the camera and make it look more dynamic, more interesting, give an energy to the scene. Yeah. It's just something I noticed when also watching Treasure Planet, because I rewatched that recently. Holy shit, dude. Treasure Planet. Mwah. I love that movie. But like, again, that's another.
I have fond memories of Treasure Planet as well.
Yeah, no, it's another Musker and Clements joint where, again, yes, it's obvious when they combine the 2D and 3D animation. And, the early 2000s had some pretty rough 3D animation for people who didn't, you know the movies that have just some rough 3D animation. But I think Treasure Planet, even though it does have some 2002 looking ass CGI, I think the stuff they do with that, where they are able to combine the characters into those 3D worlds, it looks awesome. Like, I think it holds up exceptionally well, even though it is obvious that it's 2D characters in a 3D world. So it's just really interesting that, both Treasure Planet and Aladdin are Musker and Clements movies, and they're able to really combine 2D and 3D animation and make it look good, even though the difference between the two styles.
Since you bring up that this is Musker and Clements, and I gotta say I love Musker and Clements. They've made like some of my absolute favorite Disney films. But I just feel like this film has got all Robin Williams making all the funny little references to things off the top of his head, and it fits perfectly in the film.
They make it
compare
work.
compare that with Moana when The Rock says it's called tweeting.
Oof. Yeah. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Moana. I mean, I still like it. I think I like it a lot more than I wanted to initially give it credit to. I think rewatching it, I was like, you know what? It's good. It is a good film. But yeah, it's not on the same level as Aladdin or Treasure Planet for me, where it's like, yeah, it definitely feels as though it's years later and Musker and Clements are like, hey, let's just put in a joke about tweeting there. It's like, oh, good one, guys. How long did it come up with you guys to come up with that one, huh? It's like, ugh. Yeah, it's cringy. It's cringier than the pop culture references of 1992 in Aladdin. I feel like maybe that's because I didn't grow up in 1992. So like the jokes don't work with me at all. So I just think they're funny regardless of context. But like with that, I know what tweeting is. And so when I hear a movie say, haha, tweeting lol, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, and like 20 years from now, our grandchildren are probably going to be watching the Moana, and they're going to get to the "it's called tweeting" scene, and they're probably not going to get the joke because tweeting doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I wish that meant because Twitter doesn't exist anymore, but no, it just means they changed names to X now. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sigh.
Yeah. Yeah. I can shit on Musk another day, but I don't
Yeah,
want to today.
that's totally fair. That's totally fair. One thing I wanted to mention last minute with the movie is actually the way they defeat Jafar. It rules. I
Oh
love it.
yeah.
Yeah, because I like it.
I love how it calls back to like what what the genie was saying earlier in that oasis,
Yeah.
and then Aladdin uses it to his advantage. Yeah, it's a wonderful.
It's a
Yeah,
wonderful scene because it's not the character being stronger than the villain defeating him. It's him being smarter than the villain. You know, it's him being like,
yeah,
I can placate to the villain's biggest flaw, his greed, his lust for greed, um,
hmm
his lust for power, you know? And so he's just like, oh, why don't you wish to become a genie, huh? Wink, wink. And Jafar is greedy enough that he's like, yeah, I want all the power, all of this. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
that's great. And it's so good how he's just like, you wanted it, you got it, and everything that goes with it. It's like, oh, what a
yes.
great, what a
What a
satisfying
satisfying send off.
satisfying is the perfect word for it. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I there's actually a picture book of Aladdin that I read. It had like a soundboard and everything, and
Mm.
like you push the button when you see the thing on the pages like Jafar did something evil, and then you press the Jafar button, then he laughs, and then and then like the second to last page, there was a video, an image of like Aladdin fighting off Genie Jafar, and it kind of traumatized me for years.
This is a very traumatizing movie for you, but you still love it. It's the power of
No,
childhood trauma there, baby.
not the movie, the book.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's really funny. The book is traumatizing you.
Yeah,
No, that
and I kind of
rules.
had to watch the movie. I had to watch the movie to cure. Yeah,
Yeah. No, I mean
but yeah,
that just shows you how even though you were scared by this movie, there were aspects that scared you. You still went back to it several times. Like I can think of several movies that scared me as a kid, whether or not, because this isn't a horror film and these weren't horror films
yeah,
that scared me as a kid. Because, when you're a kid, you don't really watch horror unless you're into that. But there are aspects that scare you, but still those movies you keep going back to those movies even if they do scare you if they're good enough.
yeah. And this film is by golly good enough.
Oh yeah.
And also we talked about this movie a lot. We neglected to bring up another a part of the film I thought was funny, the Sultan.
Yeah, the Sultan, who is voiced by Douglas Seal, Santa Claus in Ernest Saves Christmas. The guy you
Now,
see in that one Nostalgia Critic clip.
not gonna say anything.
Not gonna say it.
Yes.
You all know the clip I'm talking about. Go back and listen to
Yeah.
episode 76 on Surviving Christmas
Yeah.
and Ernest Saves Christmas. Banger episode. We talk about it there. But anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, for this movie, I think Douglas Seal rules. He plays the Sultan because again, the Sultan, he's kind of this like bumbling, kind of goofy character, but also the authority figure. And I feel like in any other movie, he would just be the unlikable father figure who doesn't listen to his daughter because he doesn't care. It's like, no, he cares. But you still understand his authority over Jasmine, but he's also still a bumbling goofball, but not in a way that
Yeah.
makes him a complete dipshit. I mean, it kind of does because he's just like, well, Jafar, I trusted you. It's just like, really, Jafar?
Yeah.
Again,
You trusted him.
Again, excellent judge of character. Not,
Yeah.
but like I think the balance works. He's very funny, but also you also understand why he's very protective of Jasmine. He's not unlikable, even though he does keep her locked away in the castle. You understand why he does.
Yeah. And also I love when he's just every chance he gets, he stuffs crackers in Iago's mouth.
I always love the scene when like Jafar first is in the scene with like he's in the first scene with the Sultan together, and they're like looking over the model of Agrabah, and he hypnotizes the Sultan to give him the ring, and the way Jafar just goes, "Now run along and play with your little toys," and the Sultan's like, "Oh yeah, okay." Like I just always thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
And I also really like the scene when the Sultan is stacking all those animals, and one of the animals is Beast from Beauty and the Beast. Aha.
Yeah.
That's clever. I like that little in joke, that little Easter egg. It's cute.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's how you do Easter eggs. That and let Robin Williams improvise stuff
not
in your recording booth.
Not the cuckoo clock scene from Pinocchio 2022.
I completely forgot about that scene until just now.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's not the main reason that movie sucks, but it's one of many reasons it sucks.
I mean, you have the main character spilling a pile of cow patty. So,
I mean, that just shows you what the movie's about. It's a pile of shit.
Yeah, but not this one.
No. Aladdin rules. I like I said, I love this movie so much more now after rewatching it. I love it to death. It genuinely, even if maybe I rewatch Beauty and the Beast and I like it more, or I watch, I don't know, Lion King or Little Mermaid, because I feel like those 4 early Renaissance movies I think are definitely up there for me for being some of my favorites in Disney history. I feel like no matter where it is in my top 5, it is easily top 5.
Yes. Yeah, and same here. And I mentioned that this film is especially special for me because it was like the first film that I ever watched from start to finish and never got bored by it because when you're a kid, your attention span is very short.
Yes.
And you can, and really I watched movies for like 30 to 40 minutes at a time, and then I just stopped watching them. It didn't matter that it was like near the it was like only in the middle of Act 2. I went to play with my little toys and that stuff.
Interesting. Yeah.
But with Aladdin, like I saw a part of this movie and then I had to watch it again and again and until it just became like one of my obsessions.
Yeah.
So I credit this film and Madagascar 2 with helping me love cinema.
Yeah. Hey, it's always the ones you least expect.
Yeah.
See,
it was actually that's the first film I ever saw in theaters, actually, Madagascar 2.
Okay.
And I had no choice but to watch that from start to finish.
That's interesting. Yeah. Because I'm thinking about that. I don't think there was ever a time I didn't like not finishing a movie. I feel like even as a kid, I've always wanted to complete a film because I remember being in school and we'd have movie day where they'd put on a movie and sometimes we'd finish it, sometimes we wouldn't. And whenever we didn't finish a movie, I was always annoyed. I was so
pissed.
Yeah, I was pissed. I'm like, fuck, I want to finish the movie. Even if it sucked, because I was a kid and I couldn't really tell if the movie sucked or not. I just wanted to complete it because that's just what I wanted to do.
I had the same way with in 5th grade. It was like we were having a movie day and then we stopped for like lunch or something, and you know what that movie was?
What?
Despicable Me 2.
I mean, it's not the worst, but like, yeah, you're just like, I gotta see what happens to El Macho, man. Yeah, but like I feel like Aladdin is too ubiquitous where I can't remember a time when I didn't know what Aladdin was, or I can't even remember the first time I watched it. It's just always been there. That's the thing. Some movies are just so ubiquitous I can't remember the first time I laid eyes on them, and this is one of them. It's just always been there. But yeah, Aladdin, it rules. Anything last minute before I get into this Blu-ray a little bit?
Oh, well, I did want to mention I do have like a a special edition DVD of it from like the 2000s.
Nice.
Not with me, but it's like in my DVD collection downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's not much special. I played the games on the second disc a lot. I think
Nice.
there was a Jafar fortune teller game.
Oh, that rules.
Yeah, which is kind of funny if you want to think about it.
Yeah.
But also,
Jafar telling your fortune.
yeah, and before the film began on the first disc, there were like the previews,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them was like a 30-second commercial of the genie doing like a make-a-wish make-a-wish thing, and I was obsessed with Make-A-Wish when I was a kid. I filled in like an application to Make-A-Wish several times so that I could have a giant anteater because that was my favorite animal of all time. I wanted to wish to have a giant anteater, and I didn't even know what Make-A-Wish was for. I didn't know it was for terminally ill patients. I just thought anyone could make a wish.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I was gonna say, I'm like, wait, the cancer Make-A-Wish fetish for the kids with cancer? It's like, oh, that's so funny. That is so...
Yeah. I do want to retract some things. Not everyone who did the Make-A-Wish thing is terminally ill. I do know I have seen some people who did Make-A-Wish things and they're still okay today.
Well,
so.
yeah. But it's like kids who are like at a disadvantage in some way, they're very sick. Yeah, sometimes they make it out okay. Other times not. But it's like, yeah, but that's, oh my god, that's still so funny though. The fact that you just like, oh, I can just make a wish. Okay, give me a fucking anteater. That's so good. Oh, that rules. That's awesome. That's
all right. Tell me about your Blu-ray.
It's the Diamond Edition Blu-ray.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it looks great in Blu-ray quality. Again, it's Blu-ray. Unfortunately, the iTunes code that comes with it expires October 13th, 2017. So I don't think it's any good anymore. Which I don't even think I have. Yeah, I don't even have the download code anyway, so it doesn't matter. So, but yeah, no, I think it looks great on Blu-ray. I like this Diamond Edition cover. I think it's really cool. Not much else to say. I just think it's a really cool Blu-ray, and I'm absolutely keeping it. It's a must keep for the collection. It's Aladdin, one of my all-time favorite Disney movies, one of my all-time favorite animated movies in general. I love it so much. So it's a definite keep. I imagine your special edition DVD will also be a keep.
Oh, obviously this has been in the family for years.
Yeah, it's a family heirloom.
Yes. When I die and they make a museum out of my life, it's gonna be one of the things in the collection.
One can only hope.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, so some history. As you mentioned, Robin Williams did not like that they made the advertising for this movie all about the fact that he was going to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he decided to not make it for the second film when it was announced that they would make a direct-to-DVD sequel to Aladdin, the first in a series of popular Disney made for DVD sequels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Disney sequel era, thanks to Return of Jafar. I mean, I guess if we want to be technical, the very first Disney sequel was Rescuers Down Under. For whatever reason, they decided to make another Rescuers movie for theaters. I still to this day don't understand that, but like whatever. People like Rescuers Down Under. I don't remember liking it, but whatever.
I remember liking George C. Scott.
Well, I mean, how could I hate George C. Scott? I love George. I'm a big George C. Scott fan. Yeah, trust me. But yeah, I just think the movie's whatever. But I haven't seen it in years, so what do I know?
I think it was the failure of the Rescuers Down Under that got Disney to think, yeah, we can't release sequels like this anymore. Let's demote them to like DVDs and VHSs.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would not be surprised if that's why that happened. But yeah, regardless, yes, Return of Jafar, the Aladdin sequel, was technically the beginning of the Disney sequel era. So from 1994 all the way up until 2008, we got Disney sequels galore on DVD and VHS to varying degrees of quality. Look, there's some I will absolutely go to bat for in saying, you know what, this actually rules. This isn't the worst thing ever. But then there are others where it's like, oh, this is embarrassing and pathetic. But, you know, those are for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Return of Jafar was definitely the first one. And it is often seen as either more so in the middle to lower end of Disney sequel quality. And not that I don't get that, I absolutely 100% agree. It's not that great, especially when you compare it to the first movie. But I kind of have a soft spot for this movie. And I didn't even grow up with it. I didn't watch it until I was an adult. But like, I don't mind it. I actually kind of think it's charming and cute. I like this movie. But also it's not as good as the original.
Yeah. I do want to say, after watching Aladdin like 100,000 times as a child and finally getting my hands on The Return of Jafar, I was disappointed. And I'm honestly, I'm gonna say it, I don't really like this film that much.
That's fair, because you know what,
it has its charm to it.
Yeah, you bring up a good point though. I feel like I you know, because I often think about this when people talk about the prequels. You know, I have very much a soft spot for the prequels, but I can just imagine people watching Phantom Menace for the first time in theaters on opening day in 1999, nearly 20 years after nearly 20 years after Return of the Jedi, and being like, oh, we get another Star Wars film. This is huge. And you get hit with, I don't know, the Trade Federation shit. It's like, you know what? Yeah, a lot of people would be angry at that. So I get it. So yeah, when you have the first Aladdin movie, which is one of the biggest Disney movies of all time, one of the most iconic, one of the most beloved, and you're met with the sequel, there's a shit ton of expectations that come with that. And then when you're hit with the TV quality animation, no Robin Williams, and the songs not by Howard Ashman or Alan Menken, you're like, huh, what am I supposed to get out of this?
Yeah,
I can imagine it pissed off a lot of people. It is rough.
It's one of the very few times as a child I felt disappointed by something.
Yeah. I can imagine a lot of people being angry at this movie, and I've seen a lot of people angry with this movie. What's even worse is that it's not even technically a movie. It's a backdoor pilot for a television series.
Which is exactly. I was wondering why. I was looking when I was rewatching it a couple days ago. I was like, huh, you could split this film into 3 separate parts.
Yeah,
and they would make 3 episodes for the TV show.
And also it just ends really awkwardly, where, you know, the movie's about Jafar coming back and Aladdin taking on responsibilities, and then the movie ends with Aladdin going, oh, you know what, I want to see the world. And you're like, where does that coming from? And he just goes, there's a whole world out there, I can't wait to explore it. And then it just immediately cuts to credits. It's like, what was that all about? And then of course, from 1994 to like 96, I want to say, they just had this Aladdin television series where he went on adventures around the world with Genie and all the other characters, which I hear people like the series. It's just, it's weird that they made Return of Jafar this backdoor pilot for this television series.
Yeah. I haven't seen the Aladdin series.
Me neither. Yet, so I can't speak on it. I can only speak on Return of Jafar.
But I do hear it's fun. I like how like most of the cast reprises their role, with the exception of Mr. Williams. But even if Disney didn't advertise, I'm sure I'm sure they couldn't afford Robin Williams for the show.
No, definitely not. Yeah, Robin Williams does not seem like an actor you could have on a television series, especially a Disney animated television series. That's not he doesn't
Not,
seem like the kind of
not to
actor you
say
could
it's.
do that
I
with.
mean, not to say it's not possible, but it's not something you'd expect.
Yeah, cuz there are actors that I'm surprised run television shows for as long as they were, but cuz I've been watching through The West Wing and there's some actors in there where I'm like, "Really? You were a recurring character?" But like The West Wing is seen as one of the most beloved shows of all time. At a certain point, yeah, I'm sure the budgets went up where it's like, oh, we can actually afford this celebrity to play this recurring character here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Aladdin the TV series does not seem like it would be in the same ballpark as The West Wing. Gonna go out on a limb on that one.
Are you kidding me? I compared those two for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Return of Jafar. So yeah, the biggest elephant in the room, I would say, more so than Robin Williams, is the animation. Because
Yeah.
it is a notable downgrade.
Yeah.
It's insane the level this animation is
It's.
compared to the original.
I will say it's nowhere near as bad as Hunchback 2's
No,
animation,
definitely not.
but it's still noticeably not cinema caliber.
Right. It is not cinematic. And I get it. It is blatantly a television pilot. And it does say it's done by Walt Disney Television Studios and not their animation studios that produce movies. So they're very blatantly obvious about the fact that it's a television movie. But yeah, you expect a level of quality from the majesty that was that first movie. And so when you're hit with this, a noticeable downgrade, it's jarring. I will say though, because I was expecting it to be jarring, I think judging the animation on its own in a vacuum is not terrible. I think it's actually nicely done cartoonish stylings, like it actually feels like a genuinely well animated cartoon for television. For movies, no, you could not do this on the big screen. But for an actual television show, I honestly think it's not that bad. But also, I think the facial expressions in this movie are hilarious, which kind of makes it a little bit bad, but also wraps around back into being genuinely hilarious. There's so many images, so many facial expressions in this movie that are so funny. It's the best.
If there's one thing you gotta give Disney direct-to-DVD sequels, is that they have the best facial expressions. Whether or not they're actually good or bad, they're memorable.
Oh yeah, Mulan 2 is abhorrent, but my god, it does have some hilarious facial expressions. This one has, Abu with that weird funky smile that I turned into a meme on my server for many years. There's Aladdin doing like this weird eyebrow up and down movement that a lot of people turned into a GIF. People will know what scene I'm talking about. Like that was always kind of a thing. Yeah, no, there's some real hilarious facial expressions in this one that I for better or for worse, I love wholeheartedly.
Yeah. I mean, watching it now after watching it like having not watched it years ago, I was kind of expecting it to be bad, but to be honest, I kind of liked it a little bit more than I did like when I first watched it. Because I'm a little bit more mature now.
Sure.
I understand that this was probably the backdoor pilot for the TV show, but I did get some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I think there is enjoyable aspects to it. I also do think it's a little on the lighter side in terms of content because this is not a cinematic story. I mean, The Return of Jafar feels like it should be heavier in weight and impact, but it's really not. I feel like there's a lot of dicking around in the first half where it doesn't feel like a lot is going on. It's just, oh, Aladdin was lying about Iago coming back, but he wasn't lying. He just never got a chance to talk to them. But Jasmine's mad until she's not mad. So it's like, what are we doing here, guys? This is not that interesting. It's fun when the genie returns, but there's not really a whole lot besides that. It's kind of empty content wise, where it's like,
let's talk about that, because we've got Dan Castellaneta as the genie this time around, and I'm gonna say two things. First off, he does a good job. Second off, he is not the right person for this role.
Yeah. So yeah, Genie is the next biggest elephant in the room with this movie, besides the animation. And that is Robin Williams obviously doesn't come back, which is, first off, no matter who you replace him with, replacing Robin Williams with the genie, replacing the genie voice actor, replacing Robin Williams, that is, you got the biggest balls in the industry if you think, oh, we're going to just recast him. It's like, that is insane, because Robin Williams is the genie. I'm sorry. And again, so I feel really bad for Dan Castellaneta. And look, I love Dan Castellaneta.
Who doesn't?
He made my all-time favorite character of all time, Homer Simpson. The Simpsons, if there's one thing I'm into in life, it's The Simpsons. Like, The Simpsons is kind of the biggest thing for me.
Just like how Robin made the genie, Dan made Homer.
Exactly. Yeah. The Simpsons.
You can't apply that same amount of magic to the genie, however.
You can't. Yeah, no. But I'm saying The Simpsons is kind of the biggest thing ever. Again, just look at my profile picture. I'm King Homer. All hail King Homer. That's not my Homer voice. Let me try again. No, I got to get this scene right. Because he doesn't say all hail King Homer. Mr. Burns does when he says all hail King Homer. But it's like, take a hike, boss. I'm running the show now. There we go. See, I got my Homer voice down. But anyway.
Yeah, it's a good voice.
My long-winded point is, I love The Simpsons. I love Dan Castellaneta. But yes, this is not his fault why this is an awkward transition. Because he is good as the genie. I think he's able to get that energy down, and he's able to do some really amazing voices, and his voice performance is able to keep up with the speed of the animation, which is definitely that's something you need to get right when it comes to the genie. But yes, it's in this paradoxical, weird world where he's doing a good job, but he's not Robin Williams. And because he's not Robin Williams, it's weird, and you don't really like it. It's this really bizarre thing where the actor is giving it his all, because he is. Dan Castellaneta is insanely talented, and he's doing an amazing job, but it's not the same because it's not Robin.
Yeah, but I guess I digress. Mm-hmm. He also does Genie for the whole of the TV show, which if you couldn't get Robin for that TV show, I guess it makes sense to get like a good impression.
Yeah. Even if it's not a good Robin impression, and even if it's not the same thing, I guess I'm glad it's Dan Castellaneta, because he still brings this fun and bouncy energy to the character that I feel is still within character for Genie.
Yeah, he doesn't have half-assed. Like, even if there are moments in this film where I think he sounds more like Homer than the genie, you can tell that Dan Castellaneta loves the role and is going to give it his all.
Marge, I'm the genie now.
Yeah. Robin Williams was not the only one to not return for the first Aladdin. From the first Aladdin, we also have the Sultan. In the first film, he was played by what was his name again?
Douglas Seal.
Yeah, Douglas Seal. But in this one and the next one, the Sultan is voiced by I have his name right here. What was it though? Oh, Val Betten.
Yes.
And he hasn't done much, it seems. I'm going strictly off his letterbox right now, but you might remember him as Dawson in The Great Mouse Detective, another Musker Clements classic.
I love Great Mouse Detective, but
I know.
Yeah, it is strange. Because at first I didn't notice, but then when you hear it, there is a distinct difference between him and Douglas Seal. Honestly, though, I don't think it's as distracting as the genie. I can forgive it.
True.
It's
Yeah.
definitely not as bouncy or energetic. I feel like Douglas Seal had more of an energy to him than Val Betten does. Again, no disrespect. The guy does a good job, but I feel like Douglas Seal, I just like his performance better as the Sultan in the first movie. Whereas here, if you notice, you do notice. It's not as distracting as Dan Castellaneta as the genie, though.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it's the least. Recasting is the least of this film's problems.
Oh, of course, yes, because I mean they still have the actual actors of Aladdin, Jasmine, and Jafar, and Iago. So
they got Gilbert back.
They got Gilbert back. Gilbert, even though he is a comedian, much like Robin, Gilbert seems like the kind of actor who would still be able to do a Disney show. So because he was doing Cyber Chase back in the early 2000s. So like he was no.
And I remember I loved Cyber Chase.
Oh, Cyber Chase rules. But yeah, he was definitely like a TV actor you could have on. But I'm glad Jonathan Freeman's back as Jafar because he still rules as Jafar. Not nearly as good as the first one. I think that's a detriment to maybe the animation and just kind of how limited he gets to do things in this movie. But I think he's still able to do a good job regardless. I don't like his villain song. I think it's a neat idea for a villain song because you get Jafar dressed up as an old woman in a rocking chair, which is funny. But
that is like the only funny part of like the entire song. Or like any of the songs in this movie.
I mean, that's also another huge problem with the movie. The songs are not nearly as memorable as the first one.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And something I'm sure a lot of people don't like is that Iago gets 2 songs and Gilbert Gottfried is not a good singer. He's not the worst, but I just imagine Gilbert Gottfried's voice singing. It's exactly what you think it is.
it's not as I'll be honest, that first song wasn't that annoying to me, but when he did the song with Jasmine and Aladdin, that kind of got on my nerves.
Yeah, that definitely takes you out of it. Not that you were there necessarily before, but it definitely doesn't help. I'll say that. That is the main thing with this movie. It's not as good as the original, and not that I was surprised by that. It's like it's a made for television Disney movie. You get what you get, But there is one thing this movie has over both the first and even the third one.
Costanza?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, real quick, Jason Alexander's in this movie as Abysmal. I get it. He's funny. I mean, it's Jason Alexander. I think I don't even really hate him as the gargoyle in Hunchback. I think he can be funny in that movie. It's just the gargoyles are tonally inappropriate, but also I'm somebody who loves tonally inappropriate stuff in movies, so I still think that rules. But it's Jason Alexander, one of the funniest guys ever to ever be in comedy. So like, it's George Costanza. He is funny, even though he doesn't get a ton to do in the movie. It's still George Costanza being funny.
Yeah, and he's in the show I hear too. So if we wanted more of him, then we know where to look.
We know where to look.
But what does this film have that the first and the third lack? Tell us, Hal. Tell us.
So there's a certain scene halfway through the movie when Aladdin and the Sultan are being chased by Jafar, and because he's dressed as like, I don't know, guards and like flying horses or whatever, and they're being chased by Jafar and Abysmal, and Aladdin gets knocked off the magic carpet, and he starts he starts going down the river, as it were, and he's like, kind of struggling through the rapids, and there's a shot. I have to explain. I have to set this up. There's the shot. You see the river, you see the flowing river, you see a rock, and you see Aladdin pass by the rock in the flowing river, and you don't see him come back to it, but you just see him come. He misses the rock, and then inexplicably he just comes up behind the Rock anyway, as if he got onto the Rock. That has been a Hal server staple for as long as I can remember. The first time I saw that scene was magical. It blew my mind. It was so funny. It was so funny. See, because we call it the Rock missing scene because Aladdin blatantly misses the Rock, and yet ends up on it anyway. I get it. I guess we're supposed to assume, like, I don't know, underwater he swims up to it, but it happens so quickly that realistically it wouldn't happen that way. So I just chalk it up to being an animation error, but that makes it funnier. Ergo, why we keep watching it. Every time I show Return of Jafar in call, we would rewind that scene like 5 or 6 times each. It is so funny.
Yeah. I rewinded it like 3 times just to be like, he missed that Rock. He couldn't have.
Yeah. And I've never heard anybody talk about it. I don't remember Doug Walker talking about it in his Disney December. I had to be the one because I was editing the segment for James's Disney ranking. He never brought it up during his ranking. So like I had to be like at the end, I had to do a meme joke where like I was like, hey, this moment happens where he misses the Rock. So I feel like I was going crazy. The fact that I pointed the scene out and nobody else talks about it when talking about the movie.
Yeah. Well, actually, there was this one Watch Mojo list I watched where like it was like top 10 errors in movies you probably missed. I think it was number 10.
Really?
Number 10 was the Rock missing scene.
Okay, so Watch Mojo is a real homie, and they notice that stuff. Okay.
Yeah. It was like from 9 years ago, when they have like a bazillion videos now. Yeah. So if I don't think I could find it if I tried, but I'll link it to you if ever I could find it. But yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, because it's so blatant, the fact that he just misses it and he ends up on the Rock anyway. Look, it has nothing to do with the movie, with the story, with the plot, with anything. It is arbitrary. It is pointless. You could cut it out of the movie. It doesn't change anything. But I wouldn't want the movie any other way. I love the Rock missing scene so much. It is so funny.
Yeah.
Now, granted, if that is the biggest thing I've ever gotten out of watching this movie, it's probably not very good. I'll admit it. I admit it. My 6 out of 10 rating is very, very generous. But I mean, come on, man! Like, let me have this.
Yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 10 just because I'm mean. I reserve the right to be a little mean sometimes.
Look, it's completely fair because the movie is not that great. It's a backdoor pilot for a television series. Those don't often end up being that great. A lot of people don't like the Clone Wars movie because it's just blatantly
because it's bad.
Yeah, I've never minded it. I think I like Clone Wars the movie fine, but also, I get it. It's blatantly just 4 episodes of the show stitched together. So, it's weird for people. It's just funny that people hate that movie, but they love the Clone Wars series. But what the fuck ever? Who cares?
Well, compared to like the best episodes of the Clone Wars,
of course,
and it's kind of like it's child's play if we're gonna be honest.
Oh sure, yeah, no, there's much better episodes of the Clone Wars than the movie. I'll give you that. Yeah, like literally, I think episode 5 of the Clone Wars, the one where it's just the clone troopers and they're like trapped. That I remember loving that episode. That rules. But yeah, no, look again. Return of Jafar. My love for it is purely ironic. I do not blame anybody who hates this. Genuinely, I'm just saying the Rock missing scene. It's cinema. It's just absolute fucking cinema.
Yeah. There are a few other things aside from the Rock missing scene that I want to talk about with this movie.
Sure.
They butchered my boy at the carpet, and not in like the literally butchering him like the unraveling scene in the first movie. Like he doesn't even have patterns anymore. It's just squiggly shapes and lines.
Yeah, that's an element of the downgrade in animation where I'm I am annoyed by that. And I get it. I completely understand why. It's television budget. You're not going to have people as intricately animating a carpet the same way you would for a movie. So I get it. But yeah, that is most notable where it's like, ugh, yeah, they really severely downgraded carpet from the first movie.
Yeah. And also, I said this in my review, but I don't think I could ever have too much Gilbert Gottfried. But with this film, I think I can get too much Iago, because there are some just instances where I just really wanted to shut the fuck
up. That's completely fair. Yeah, no, he could be a lot, because again, the jokes that Iago said in the first movie were funny every time, whereas here you just have him saying things in normal dialogue, and it's just like it can be a bit much at times.
Yeah. And also, you touched on this before, but Aladdin wasn't really lying at all.
Yeah.
He was just, I mean, technically, like, maybe for like a few like sentences, but he wasn't like actively saying, no, Iago isn't here. He's still in the desert. He's dead for all I care.
Yeah, it's very much doing the liar reveal trope. I mean, it does it within the first 20 minutes, which is really funny. So I guess that's the subversion that this movie does, instead of the first one where it actually plays with that trope and does it well. Here, it just does it where it didn't need to happen. This is why that trope is hated by a lot of people, because sometimes it happens and it doesn't need to happen that way. It's completely forced. And yeah, this is a time where it feels forced in, and it doesn't feel natural.
Like, the Sultan just hears about this, and he thinks Aladdin is trying to plan some sort of coup against him.
It's so stupid.
and then Jasmine is like, I can't believe you lied to me. I will never trust you again.
Never
until
ever.
I sing this song.
Yeah. It's completely pointless. It's so stupid. It's just there to fill up the monstrous runtime. By the way, it's only 69 minutes long, this movie. It's barely a movie. Barely.
I'm just going to say it. I know you don't want me to say it, but I'm going to say it.
Say it.
Nice.
Stunning and brave. Someone had to say
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else to say about Return of Jafar?
The final battle I kind of like too, and I like how Iago confirms his allegiance with the good guys in this one by knocking Jafar's lamp into like the molten lava, which like is probably, honestly, in my opinion, one of the most painful ways you could go out as a Disney villain, because this man is literally getting boiled alive. Let's say like the lamp is like Jafar's like organs and shit. He is burning alive. Like,
that's a good point. Yeah,
that is a hardcore way to kill a villain in a Disney direct-to-DVD sequel.
Yeah, he's boiling alive, and then his fucking lamp like burns all the way through. You don't see it, so he just does not exist anymore. There's not a body. There's no dust. He just genuinely does not exist in the universe anymore. It's like that's scary. In this kids movie.
Yeah, actually, in the Hercules TV show, I hear they do a crossover with the Aladdin universe, even though the Aladdin show at this point is long been over. There's a crossover where Hercules meets Aladdin and Jasmine, and they have to defeat Jafar, who has emerged from the underworld with the Lord of all evil and darkness, James Woods.
Wow, that actually sounds awesome. Why isn't this on Disney Plus? Like, come on, Disney. That sounds based. I want to see that.
Wait, actually, let me look it up. Look it up and see if the Hercules show is on Disney Plus.
I know
if it is,
the pilot movie isn't Zero to Hero, because like my friends have been saying that's like the one Disney sequel that's not on Disney Plus.
I haven't even heard of Zero to Hero until like a couple days ago when I was logging that damn film.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand why Disney doesn't have certain things. I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but it's like, come on, dude.
Yeah,
I want
old
to see this.
shame.
I want to
Yeah.
see this Aladdin Hercules crossover. It probably sucks, but I want to see it.
Yeah. Well, good news. It is Hercules, the animated series, is on Disney Plus.
Oh, but the Aladdin series isn't.
Yeah, I that does sound a little odd to me, but
Yeah, that's
I
odd.
forget the name. I forget the name of the episode though. I think it's oh yeah, here it is. Hercules and the Arabian Nights, season 1, episode 57. The villainous Jafar visits Hades in the underworld.
Okay, that still sounds cool. I want to see that, but I mean,
Yeah.
if it's not talked about that often, because this is the first I'm hearing of this, it's probably not a good crossover. You know,
Maybe not.
maybe people just forgot about it. You know.
Yeah. I mean, but at the same time, I've heard more people talk about Jafar in Mickey's House of Villains than I have Jafar in Hercules the Animated Series.
Right, exactly. Which, hey, House of Villains, good special. I like it.
Yeah, man, I mean, I love House of Mouse, but it's kind of a wasted opportunity for me because you have all these chances to like make the stories a little longer, but instead you have like 7-minute shorts, 3 or 4 7-minute shorts every episode.
Yeah, it's just an excuse to play old Disney cartoons, which is cool inherently, but then when we have
Yeah,
easy access to these old Disney cartoons on Disney Plus, kind of makes the show kind of pointless looking back on it. Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
I have the same problem with one of Disney Channel's like newest ventures. It's called Chibiverse, and it's like all the Disney TV animated characters together in like chibi form, like the cartoon form of chibi. And
Yeah.
I think the chibi form it's kind of pointless, but it's still cute, so I accept it anyway.
Mhm.
But anyway, yeah, you have all these opportunities to have all these characters interact with each other, but then they just use that to play like minute long chibi shorts. Like
Mhm.
they're called chibi tiny tales, and they're like a minute each, but they play like 3 of them in a row before
Ugh.
we get back to the actual plot.
Ugh.
And yeah, and I just want to see my favorite characters interact. Luckily, they learned their lesson, it seems, and like the the most recent batch of episodes have actually been actual stories involving our characters in chibi form,
Hmm.
going on adventures and interacting. I'm not going to say it's the pinnacle of cinema or anything, but it does involve Grunkle Stan robbing Scrooge McDuck, which is probably something people have been wishing for like eons now.
I mean,
Because
I never thought about that as a concept, but now that you've introduced that into my brain, kind of want to see that now. Yeah.
yeah, I'll have, and I'll be the one by your side, telling you the names of the Disney characters you've never heard
Of
of.
course. Yeah, of course. It helps to be a Disney nerd. Not one of them Disney adults,
Yeah,
Disney nerds. Someone who's actually interested
yeah,
in Disney's content,
yeah, exactly.
long spanning.
Yeah, I, I will never be one of those Disney
I
adults.
know. It's one of those things where you're just like, God, am I a Disney adult because I like these Disney movies? But no, you know the difference between somebody who likes Disney movies and someone who's a Disney adult.
Yeah,
I mean, a Disney adult
I,
is paradoxical because they're adults that act like children. They're not adults at all. So, you know. But
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm an adult. I kind of act like a child
Yeah, but
sometimes.
yeah, but not like embarrassingly like the Disney adults do.
Yeah, I have my self-awareness.
Of course, yeah. The Disney adults lack self-awareness where they think what they're doing is cool and epic and it's like, "No, you are cringe as fuck."
Yeah, I was actually driving one day. I want to tell this story and then we can get to like the next Aladdin film.
Good, yeah, yeah.
Um, so I was driving one day, and they was talking about like these Disney adults who are like part of some sort of secret Disney adult society that was sanctioned by Walt Disney World itself, and they got banned because they drank too much alcohol at a convention or something.
Okay. I mean, I do like drinking alcohol, but like to the point that I'm a public nuisance? No, not really.
Yeah. But yeah, they had like these meetings. I forget where it was. I think it was somewhere in the Cinderella Castle. Like I think it was like called D30 something. Like I forget what the whole point of that whole club was, but it was filled with Disney adults and rich white people.
Oof. No, thank you. No, thank you, sir.
Yeah. But that out of the way, my final opinions on The Return of Jafar are it's not as bad as I remember it being when I was a kid, but there are still some points where I'm like, yeah, I mean, with the title like The Return of Jafar, I kind of expect something a little bit more than the backdoor pilot for the TV show.
Sure, that's completely fair. Yeah, my 6 out of 10 is incredibly generous for this movie, but that rock missing scene makes it all worth it in my mind.
Yeah.
So I don't hate this movie, but I absolutely understand it's not that great. But let's move on to something a hell of a lot more pleasant. So, Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Now, this is what I'm talking about. So
it's an actual movie.
Well, one, it's an actual movie. Little backstory. I remember being a kid and renting this from the library when I think it had to have been like a couple years after I moved to my house where I grew up in. And we went to the library, and I remember this. We rented 2 movies. I don't know why these are the movies I remember renting from the library and not, I don't know. I mean, there's vague other movies I remember renting growing up, but I remember these 2 specifically. Muppet Treasure Island and Aladdin and the King of Thieves. And we watched Aladdin and the King of Thieves because I'm like, what is this? I didn't know they made another Aladdin movie. And I watched it as a kid, and I fucking loved it. I was like, this rules. This is awesome. And then I grew up, and James was obviously doing the Disney ranking, and I thought, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to show everybody this movie because they're much like the rock missing scene. There's a sequence I want to talk about with this movie. We'll get to it when we get to it, but there's a scene I wanted to rewatch. And watching the movie again, I understand why it's not as beloved, because it is still a bit messy, but I think this movie is genuinely good. I think I will go to bat for it as being one of the better Disney sequels out there. It might even be my favorite Disney sequel out of all of them. But well, you go ahead. Talk about what your opening thoughts on the movie are.
Well, as you know, I was a little disappointed by The Return of Jafar, but not disappointed enough that I avoided all Aladdin content for the rest of my life. Because I still loved Aladdin, and I was interested in watching the third film, and gotta tell you, it's a classic.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think the Aladdin trilogy is the same as the Die Hard trilogy. Now that I'm thinking about it, where the first one is an absolute classic, the second one is not as beloved, but I have a soft spot for it, and the third one is surprisingly great. Like, I've talked about this in my Die Hard episode, so go listen to that. But like, Die Hard 3 is genuinely actually really good. I think it's better than King of Thieves, but King of Thieves, I'm surprised, is as good as it is.
Yeah, like I got fond memories of King of Thieves actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like as a kid, I don't think this now, but as a kid, I thought it was on par with the first Aladdin, even if the animation was like the same caliber as The Return of Jafar. Mm-hmm. Like the writing was there. It was funny, not as funny as the first one, mm-hmm. but like, and it had stakes too.
Oh yeah,
it had It had a 3x structure.
Yeah, that definitely helped. Oh yeah, no, this movie, yeah, I agree. It's definitely still not on the same level as the first one. I think everything it does, the first one does better. The genie jokes, the animation, everything that is done in the first movie is much better than in this one. But let's start off with that. The animation, I think, yeah, it is more closer to Return of Jafar, but I don't think it's bad. I think it does have that really interesting adventure TV show kind of animation that works for it. Um, and I think I think it works. I think it's genuinely pretty good. I think the facial expressions are still funny because it's on a TV budget. But it works.
Yeah.
But the one thing this does have that trumps it over Return of Jafar is guess who's back? Back again. Williams back. Tell a friend.
Yeah.
Robin is back,
Yeah.
dude. Robin Williams came back to do because this was the finale of the Aladdin series. You know, because it was just the finale of Aladdin in general, and I guess they wanted to go out on a high note, so they begged and pleaded. I don't know what they said to Robin Williams to bring him back, but Robin was like, you know what? Sure, I'll come back for this one. And
maybe they said that they'll never do another Flubber sequel.
I mean, well, this came out before Flubber, but you know what? That's good because Flubber sucks. So that's canon. That's canon as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, no, I did talk about this in my review. Even though it's nice to see Robin back and he rules, just the jokes after joke are great. He is very funny. I will say the jokes in this one are a little out of place. I still think they're funny, but it is weird. It is a lot weirder seeing the references in this movie than the references in the first one.
And you know what it is?
What's that?
It's because there's more self-references than in the first one. I think.
True.
I mean, you got him turning into the White Rabbit. You got him turning into Pumbaa, into Pluto, into Steamboat Willie.
Yeah. You have him dressing Jasmine up as Cinderella and Snow White.
Yeah.
You have that one scene where he's like, oh, the lab was testing us out, and it was showing her with different Disney bodies. So it had Ariel.
And Jessica Rabbit.
Jessica Rabbit. Whoa. I mean, hey, as a big Roger Rabbit fan, that rules. But, like, what a weird reference to throw in there. But, I mean, again, I'm a Roger Rabbit fan. I'll allow it.
I mean, at the same time, though, I think that might be the reference that works the best because it's just so weird and out of nowhere.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. But
at the same time,
you do have moments where he turns into Forrest Gump, and it's like, Mom always said magic is, magic does. It's like
it doesn't feel improvised like the first movie.
Yeah.
It feels like they concocted these references, these still funny references, mind you, in a lab.
Yeah. Ooh, good point. Yeah. I mean, he literally becomes Mrs. Doubtfire at one point, and you're just like, I get it. I see what you're doing there. Robin Williams, Mrs. Doubtfire. That's a good joke. But yeah, it is still funny. But then, of course, there's other awkward times where it's just like, why are you referencing Dustin Hoffman from Rain Man in that one scene? It's like, it's funny, but it's entirely random. You're just like, what does Dustin Hoffman have to do with this scene?
Maybe Robin Williams did this movie on the agreement that he not do any improvised like lines, which is which would be a little unfortunate. I mean, I still think the lines Genie has in this movie are funny, but it feels manufactured. It feels written down for him.
Even still, a lot of the jokes still feel improvised. So even if like all of them aren't improvised, the fact that he can make a lot of them feel improvised is actually kind of impressive. Like, that's impressive. The fact that he can make it seem like he's coming up with them on the fly. If that's the case, I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm just guessing at this point.
But a lot of the jokes do feel manufactured, though. I will give you that. A lot of the Disney aimed ones, yes.
Yeah. It does have two of my absolute favorite genie scenes, though. My first one is the lifestyles of the rich and magical at the beginning, which is like Genie doing news coverage of the of the wedding, and then just Genie shows up as various mythical and biblical figures, and then says, "This wedding is brought to you by sand. It's everywhere. Get used to it."
That's a great line.
Yeah. I now and I love the there's this letterbox review by someone by like Anakin Skywalker. And it's a half star, and it's like that line, and he's like, "I hate you."
Hey, that's funny. That is funny.
Yeah, and the second one, the second genie scene is probably the one that you're thinking of as well.
Oh. The line or the scene?
Oh, the scene.
Okay, because when I'm thinking line, because I'm thinking you're thinking of when the Earth starts shaking and he goes, "Oh, I thought the Earth wasn't supposed to move until the honeymoon."
Oh yeah, that is a classic line. But I was also, when I was thinking of like classic genie scenes from this movie, I was referring to Lifestyles of the Rich and Magical, and I was referring to the Red Alert.
Oh, Code Red. That is the scene. Yeah, that's the scene I wanted to talk about. That is the scene. So that's the thing with Return of Jafar and King of Thieves. They're not as good as the first movie, but they both have moments that are so funny and so out of nowhere. They're incredible. That they kind of those scenes themselves kind of transpire. Like they're I don't know. They go beyond the movie themselves. Like, yeah, the Code Red scene is so funny. It's one of those scenes that as a kid, when I first watched the movie, I remember rewinding like 4 or 5 times to rewatch it. It was that funny and left me guffawing because it's just incredible. Again, it's animated very well because it's matching Robin Williams' voice performance with the speed of the animation. The King of Thieves comes back and they introduce him as being, "Oh, I'm Aladdin's father." Or no. They introduce him as the King of Thieves, and Genie's immediately like, "Ah!" He starts going like, all units, Code Red, and like you see all these genies dressed up as cops, dressed up as like guys playing bagpipes as the cavalry.
As the paratroopers. And then there's Pocahontas.
He's dressed as Pocahontas. I quote Pocahontas more than I've ever thought about the actual Pocahontas movie. Like, yeah, Geronimo, Arapaho, Navajo, Pocahontas. It's so funny. And then it all culminates with all these genies surrounding the King of Thieves. And you just hear Genie in the background go, "Do not attempt to move or we'll be shooting ourselves."
That could be taken 2 different ways.
I love it.
Yes. I had the exact same experience as you. I would just rewind and rewind and rewind.
It's so good. It's so good. So funny. I want everybody to experience that scene. Sometimes I'll just even go on YouTube and look up the Code Red scene, and YouTube will know exactly what I'm talking about. And somebody just uploaded it. And yeah, just in its entirety. It's a perfect scene for the movie.
Yes.
I love it so much.
Yeah. And also I also liked the the RoboCop Genie thing.
I mean, again, it's weird because he's obviously, what is it, Ed 29? I haven't seen RoboCop in a couple of years, but yeah, that which robot I'm talking about, the one that shoots the shit out of that guy in that one scene. Awesome fucking movie. Love RoboCop. But yeah, Genie's blatantly that character. It's so funny that, he references an R-rated film of that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the beauty of the Genie. He just references everything regardless of rating.
Yeah, and you as a kid, you're going to be like, "Oh, that is a reference. I don't entirely get it, but someday I'll get it."
Yeah. But, yeah.
So the Genie rocks, even though
it
is even though some of the jokes are weird and distracting from the rest of the plot, it is nice to have Robin Williams back.
Yeah. He could make those jokes work.
Yes. Now, as for the rest of the movie, I think it's still solid enough. Not amazing. Not
So
as
do I.
not like the
Yeah.
first movie where the stuff besides Robin Williams still rules on its own. I think this stuff is fine. It's
Yeah.
good. I like the stuff with Aladdin and his father. I like the stuff with the 40 Thieves. I like the villain. What is it? Saluk.
Oh yeah. He was intimidating.
Played
He's
by
got those
Lumiere, Jerry Orbach, which is really cool. The fact
that surprised me actually.
Yeah, I never
Well,
noticed that as a kid, but like it's Lumiere because you think of Lumiere and you think of this character, they're completely opposite, but he does a great job as both characters. I think he's
versatility.
Great. Yeah, great actor Jerry Orbach. Yeah, no, he was great in this movie. I think Jafar is the better villain, but I honestly think he's a good replacement for Jafar when it comes to Aladdin villains.
Yeah. Well, I mean, replacement for this film only because he bites the dust at the end.
Right. Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. Not to jump ahead, but like, yeah, his death scene. I think you talked about it, how it traumatized you.
Well, traumatized me is a bit of a strong word looking back now, but it is pretty jarring. I'll talk about it later.
Sure. Yeah. I will say, I think that's where maybe the movie is kind of, I don't want to say lackluster because that's such a harsh word, but like it does, because it has the stuff with Aladdin and his father, which is good. Which I actually want to mention that. So I remember watching Aladdin when I was, I want to say 18. I was definitely a younger adult when I would watch it. And I remember a scene of Aladdin walking by a family, and I always thought it was in the first movie where Aladdin's walking by a family and sees them like hugging each other. And then when I would watch the first movie and it wasn't there, I thought, oh, did I Mandela affect myself? I thought that was in Aladdin. Turns out that scene I was thinking of was from Aladdin 3. So, which is just really funny that I thought that scene happened in the first one. I just had this false memory, but turns out I didn't have this false memory. I just misremembered which movie it was actually from.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that you would have that scene in this movie because this is the movie where he has the daddy issues specifically.
Yeah. I think, not to mention, I think there was like a deleted song from the first movie where Aladdin was talking about like his issues with living with his mother until she passed. I never watched it for myself. It was on the DVD, but yeah, it was like on the back of the DVD. It said like, listen to a never before heard song of Aladdin singing about his dead mom.
Great. Da-na-na-na-na. I don't hate the scenes though with Aladdin and his dad, but I think those are the strongest. Whereas like you get scenes of Jasmine interacting with Genie. Jasmine doesn't do a whole lot in this movie. I think that's one of the biggest problems.
She fights one guy.
She punches a guy. Girl boss, I guess.
Yep. Are you gaslighting and gatekeeping me into believing that she is much more powerful in this movie than I think?
Yeah. Well, a woman can't punch a man. SMH. You definitely don't get as much. I mean, you do get Iago, but I think Iago is used appropriately, and I do like that he is kind of a scumbag and wanting to be like, oh, I want the treasure, and he wants to go on treasure hunting adventures with the dad more so than Aladdin. That's kind of funny.
I think it makes sense for him. Too, because
absolutely,
it's a decent conclusion for his character. He joins like the good side at the end of the Return of Jafar, but he kind of he doesn't like act like he wants to. It's like he has no other choice.
Yeah.
And I assume that in the series we could see like his dirty like side like pop up every once in a while, especially when there's like some sort of treasure.
Yeah.
So fleeing with the King of Thieves does seem like the logical conclusion for his character arc.
Yeah, but it's weird that he gets a satisfying character conclusion and Jasmine doesn't. You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
she gets to marry Aladdin. That's as good as it gets for 1996, apparently.
I guess so. Even though she was much more interesting in the first movie, and that came out 4 years before. So
She was,
what happened?
I will. I guess I'll say this: I prefer her in this movie than I do in Return of Jafar, but they fuck up her character so bad.
Yeah, exactly. So do I want her doing nothing, or do I want her being annoying? You know, it's kind of a weird
Yeah,
double-edged sword at that point.
yeah. At the same, I mean, do I? My answer to that question would be, I would watch the first movie and watch her be something.
I agree.
But at the same time, like again, this is a good. This I think this is a good, solid movie. It's solid as gelatin. Like if I put my finger on it, my finger doesn't go exactly through it. But if I pushed hard enough, my finger can go inside the gelatin, and I can feel the sort of problems that the film has that I didn't pick up on as a youngin.
That's a fair analogy. Yeah, Jello is still solid, but you can break it apart if you think about it for too long. I think that does perfectly explain this movie. It's not the best, but it's still solid, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah. But again, I think for what it is, a finale movie for a television series for kids, I think it's cute enough. I think John Rhys Davies as the dad works. I don't think it's the most
yeah.
compelling father-son turmoil you've seen in movies, but for what it is, it works well enough. I'm not angry by any of this. I think it does its job well.
I agree, and I agree with some of the reviews I've seen on Letterboxd that are just thirst traps for Kasim.
I mean, again, it's the same thing with Jasmine, where it's like it's a cartoon, like really, or at the very
Yeah,
least, don't tell me about it. I don't care. I didn't need to see that.
yeah. I mean, at the same time though, he's pretty fine.
Sure,
I'll just say that he's fine.
sure. For an adult male that's drawn, I'll give you that. I don't disagree.
You did a good job drawing this man,
Yeah.
whoever drew him.
Yeah, and again, John Rhys
But
Davies, fucking Gimli from Lord of the Rings, Sala, Indiana Jones. He's a great actor, and he does a great job in this movie.
yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I will say I do have the kind of the same problem with Iago in this film as I did with Return of Jafar. I feel like he talks a little too much. Like
Hmm.
you could get five minutes off of this film that's just his pointless dialogue, and you'd probably be a little better off. But that's not my main issue.
Hmm.
My main issue is that he's annoying and it's rarely ever brought up. Like Aladdin shushes him a few times, but it's only because he doesn't want to get caught by like anyone, not because he's genuinely annoyed by his voice.
Yeah.
I think the only time in the film it's brought up is like was when Iago like asks a question to the oracle and then he tries to ask another question and then he plays it off like, oh, I was just merely thinking out loud, and then the genie grabs him and he's like very loud.
Because at least that leads to a great genie line. So, but yeah, it can be a bit much. I completely agree.
But I mean, at the same time, Gilbert's giving it his all,
Oh yeah,
and
no,
I'm not going to deny him.
yeah, that's the thing with Gilbert. He was such an insane talent, and I miss him every day. Like,
Yeah,
genuinely, I'm so sad that he died because it's like we're
I
never gonna get that voice in anything ever again. It's like fuck.
yeah,
It's sad.
I feel the same way with Robin Williams,
Oh yeah.
honestly.
Oh, even more so. Robin Williams. Like we've talked about this on the show because we talked about a couple of Robin Williams stuff. Actually, that's not true. I think Insomnia was the only other Robin Williams thing I've talked about on the show. Um, but yeah, no, he was definitely such a talent too. And yeah, again, like we said this earlier, he didn't pick the best movies from time to time, but when he did, when he was in something special, he really made it
Yeah.
special. And yeah, like I said, a huge influence on my kind of sense of humor. So the fact that we're not going to get that anymore, it hurts. It's painful,
Yeah.
but it helps to appreciate the stuff we did get with them.
Exactly. Like, I prefer Genie in the first movie than like in this movie. But I mean,
Sure.
there's the scene, like the scene with Jasmine and the genie. I love that scene
Yeah.
because like that's a character that's like an interaction you never got in like any of the other movies. You never had Jasmine and Genie have a one-on-one conversation before. So it was fun watching them talk with each other. I thought it was fun.
I thought it was fun because he
Yeah.
got to act out as all three Marx brothers. He got to be Harpo, Chico, and Groucho, and they were genuinely
Yeah.
good impressions. I mean, he didn't have to do anything for Harpo because Harpo doesn't talk, but you know, hey, it's the thought that counts, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I like this movie a lot. Even if I gave it a 7 out of 10, even if there are like things that are just a little off about it,
Yeah.
I still like it a lot.
I think a 7
And I
out
do
of
wanna
10 is a
bring
fair rating.
Yeah. I will say though, the songs are not as bad as Return of Jafar's, but I don't really like them all that much, especially when compared to what Alan Menken and his writing partner did
Howard
for the
Ashman and
first
Tim
movie.
Rice. Yeah, I think it's Tim Rice, the first movie. You know what? Let me just double check that before I make a fool out of myself.
Yeah, I think Tim Rice was the Lion King, but it'd be funny if he also did Aladdin too.
I feel like it was. It had to have been because I know Alan Menken. Okay, Tim Rice did help with the songs because Howard Ashman was dead by the time Aladdin came out, but he still did work on it because that's why at the beginning I always noticed this in the first Aladdin. Not to go back to the first Aladdin, but this is a point I need to make. So it's Alan Menken did the music, but then he did the songs with Howard Ashman, but then he also did songs with Tim Rice. And so at the beginning you see songs by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, and then it says, and Tim Rice and Alan Menken. So Alan Menken is credited twice, but that's because he worked differently with Howard Ashman and with Tim Rice. But yeah, Howard Ashman was dead by this point because he died in 1991. But then, so I don't know off the top of my head which songs he did. But then Tim Rice and Alan Menken did the other songs. So there's that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, their songs in the first movie are so much better. I don't hate the songs in this one. I think There's a Party Here in Agrabah is pretty okay for an opening. I like the 40 Thieves song. I even like Saluk's song where he's like, "Are you in or out?" Like, that's fun. Like, they're fun, but they're not memorable. They're not as memorable as those original Menken, Ashman, and Rice songs.
They don't feel like they belong in an Aladdin movie, except for probably There's a Party Here in Agrabah.
Yeah, so that I don't mind, but then the other ones, yeah, they feel like they were just kind of their television cartoon songs.
And there's nothing wrong with that, as this was a film meant to conclude a television cartoon show.
Right, but when you have the original that was made to be cinematic, you have some expectations.
Yeah, some expectations, but I don't let that cloud my judgment.
Sure, that's completely fair.
I will say though, the Father and Son song is not one I look back fondly of.
Yeah, because I couldn't even sing it to you right now. I don't know how it goes. I don't remember it.
Yeah, I think the genie turns into Shaq for a minute.
He also turns into Einstein, everybody's favorite Oppenheimer character.
Man, I can't believe the genie would reference a movie that hasn't even been made yet.
Well, he could see the future. He could see the future. That's what he's good at.
If he could see the future, then why didn't he tell Aladdin that indoor plumbing was going to be big?
Sword in the Stone reference. No, wait, I'm thinking. Is that said at the end?
That was Hercules.
Oh, right.
I watched it the other day.
Right. Yeah, because the three witches with the eye. She's like, indoor plumbing. It's gonna be big. Oh my god, I forgot about that. That's a great line. I need to rewatch Hercules. No, I was thinking of Sword in the Stone at the end when Merlin is just like, "I'm back from the future, King Arthur. They're gonna be making a motion picture about you." He's like, "Motion picture? What's that?"
I haven't seen The Sword and the Stone in like 10 years. Maybe it's time I start again because I do like that movie as well.
I remember being in kind of a bad headspace when I last watched it, and I think I gave it like a 6 out of 10, but I think it's fine from what I remember. I think it's a good movie. I don't know if I just necessarily agree with my review on it. Again, it's been a while since I've seen it, but whatever.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna say like The Sword and the Stone is the forgotten masterpiece of Disney.
No.
Because it was like made in the 60s. It has scenes that run on for way too long.
Yeah, and when I think of my favorite Disney movies from the 60s, I think of stuff like Jungle Book and 101 Dalmatians because those hold up exceptionally well.
Yeah. The Sword and the Stone is I'll say it's funny though.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of humor to it that I would say can also be found in Aladdin.
Yeah, but
I always thought that Merlin was played by Disney himself.
Oh, interesting.
I was wrong though, but he was inspired by Disney.
Oh, I didn't know
in the
that.
Same
actually.
way, in the same way that like Yen Sid from The Sorcerer's Apprentice was like about Disney being like a bad boss or something.
Oh, not to be confused with Yin Said, frequent guest on the podcast. Bad guys.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I always think of Yin Said when people say Yen Sid, but I get it because Yin Said is the guy who's been on the podcast. Yen Said is Disney completely backwards.
Yeah. But yeah, is there anything else I'm going to talk about with this film? Okay. The thieves. The thieves are kind of the cool. It's funny how they're brought up as like, oh my gosh, 40 thieves. And then like at the end of the climax of the film only has like 7 of them.
Yeah, there's only really 7 you focus on. You have the guy with the swords, you have the triplets, you have Chubbs, you have the Asian guy, and you have the really pale guy who comes out with like the rope or something like that.
Yeah.
There's one other. Saluk, yeah. Yeah, I mean they're fine. They're not very interesting. Like I think Chubbs is funny, but that's only because he reminds me of the assistant from not the assistant, the hired goon in the Looney Tunes, where it's like Bugsy and Muggsy.
Okay.
Hey, Muggsy. Okay, boss. Sorry. Great cartoons.
I didn't find any of the thieves funny or interesting. You see, I love background characters.
Sure.
Because if even if they have pay absolutely no like importance to the plot, you can still look at them in the back and be like, oh hey, these guys are cool. I would like to focus on these guys more. I'm doing an entire like ranking video of the background racers of the first race in the first Cars movie right now.
That's
I have
awesome.
no idea why I'm doing it, except for the fact that I've always loved them since like 2012.
Yeah. I mean, hey, background characters can be popular. It's why Boba Fett is seen as one of the most popular Star Wars characters when he doesn't do anything in Empire Strikes Back. It's like people just think he looks cool.
And then he falls into the Sarlacc pit after like 2 seconds of screen time.
Exactly. So yeah, background characters can have a huge impact on people, which it is unfortunate because the thieves are not that interesting. I think they could be interesting if you gave them a little more time and a little bit more personality, but that's not where the movie was focused on. And look, entirely fair.
It would be interesting. Like I want to know about the Asian guy that was with them, because it's like you never seen any like East Asian people in this like Arabic location.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting. Like he was like a mercenary that came all the way like down the Silk Road to Agrabah.
Yeah.
To make his living as one of the 40s, but it's never brought up. It's just like, oh hey, look, he's Asian and he knows kung fu noises.
Yeah. I think the subtitles said his name is Genghis, so I'm like, is that supposed to be Genghis Khan? But it's never explained, so whatever.
Yeah. I guess I like Chubbs as well, and I like when the genie just defeats him with his even bigger belly.
Yeah, what does he say? Like, how about a nutty buddy or something like that? He just gets him with his big belly. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, Saluk is the standout amidst all the 40 thieves.
Yeah, he rocks. I like him as the villain. I think he's that much of a bastard that he's so evil that you can't sympathize with him, but he does so in a fun way. He's a fun bastard.
Yeah, his skin tone kind of confuses me because when I was younger, I thought he was blue. I thought he was an actual blue man.
He was
it turns out he was extremely, yeah. But as it turns out, he was just extremely pale. But during the cliff fight scene with Aladdin, he's not pale anymore. It's all over the place.
I actually kind of like the cliff fight because they actually play with color.
I love the cliff fight.
Yeah, where he's like red and blue.
Cliff fight.
Yeah, they actually play with color. It's really cool. I like that. I like that attention to detail.
Yeah, and it's a good fight scene too. Like again, unlike the second movie, unless you want to count the final battle, it has stakes.
Very true.
Like you actually get a feeling like, oh my gosh, one of these characters could die.
Yeah. And I like Saluk's little like Wolverine claws he just has for no reason because they're cool.
Yeah. Like I think that was one of the selling points for him. Like he has a cool design, but it's those Wolverine claws that like makes him just a little bit more memorable than someone like I forgot the other names of the 40 Thieves.
Yeah,
except
you just know Chubbs because he's the fat, stupid hired goon. It's like, yeah, it's funny, but there's not much else to him.
Yeah, and I also that Saluk does not die in that scene. He just falls into the ocean and wrestles a shark, which is also pretty cool in itself. But I do also want to talk about his own death scene because it happens like near the end of the movie. So throughout the whole movie, the 40 Thieves were searching for the vanishing isle, which is on the back of a giant sea turtle, so they can retrieve the hand of Midas, which is what Kasim has been searching for his entire life, because it has the power to turn anything into golden treasure. And anyway, Kasim and Aladdin finally find the hand of Midas, but they cannot touch it because if you touch it, you will turn gold yourself. And of course, Saluk finds them and he orders them to give the hand of Midas to him, or else he will slay Aladdin. So Kasim decides to give Saluk the hand of Midas, and because Saluk is too consumed by pride, he grabs the hand without ever knowing that you're not supposed to touch it. And then he turns into gold and sinks to the bottom of like the bottom of the where is he in the city actually? When he falls.
He just falls to the bottom, I guess, just in general.
Yeah. And I said this, it's a pretty dark way to go out again as a Disney direct-to-DVD character. Because it's not enough that you turn to gold. You feel yourself turning to gold. You feel like your skin, your insides turn to gold. You are suffocating, and when the gold like takes over like your face, that is a horrible way to go out.
You're screaming in agony for an eternity now. Yeah, it's like, God damn, dude. This is a kid's movie.
Yeah. It's not my favorite climax of the Aladdin trilogy.
No.
But it does have that cool scene.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I don't think it's as good as the original, but goddamn, it's much better than the second one. And I think it has enough going for it that I think it is genuinely entertaining. That I think more people should give it a shot. Just because it is genuinely fun.
Yeah. And I think it ends the franchise on a thematically well note, because it ends with Aladdin and Jasmine finally getting married. Kasim and Iago fly out into the night and search for more dastardly adventures. And then the peddler from the beginning of the first movie returns to reprise Arabian Night for the last time.
Yeah, kind of bookends itself very nicely. I like that.
Speaking of, we should probably talk about this. What do you think the chances are that the peddler is just the genie in like his human form?
I have heard
Because he
that
is played
theory.
he is played by Robin Williams in like both of the movies. Not the Return of Jafar, because that doesn't count.
Right, right. Well, yeah, because he plays the speaking role. He doesn't do the singing though. That, like you said, that's Bruce Adler. Um, yeah, no, I would say, I don't know. I don't think there's enough evidence to say one way or the other that it's the genie. That it doesn't really make or break the movie for me. It's just, if it is the genie, cool. But if it's not, it's still a neat narrator
Yeah,
character. You know.
yeah. I like his scene at the beginning where he's trying to sell you these crappy things.
Yeah, it will not break. It broke.
Yeah, just another great instance of Robin's
Quick wit.
improvisational
Yeah,
comedy.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah,
And I like his inclusion at the end of King of Thieves. It's a cute bookend for the series as a whole.
yep. I find it interesting that the final shot of the series of the franchise, however, is Kasim and Iago, not the two most important characters of the entire franchise, riding into the night, and not Aladdin and Jasmine on carpet.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to be technical, there is an after credit scene with the genie where he comes out and just and references aliens, where he's just like, "Oh, it's over, man. Game's over, man."
I completely missed that, and I
Yeah,
missed the post credit scene of Return of Jafar where Abbas Maul was still like hanging on that tree.
yeah. I mean, that was funny. And it is funny. It's incredibly random that he's referencing aliens at the end of King of Thieves. I get it. You know, it's a very iconic line from Aliens where Bill Paxton goes, "Game over, man. Game over." But, like, I guess it's because the movie's over. That's why he's saying game over, man. But it's like, what's the pipeline between Aliens and Aladdin and the King of Thieves?
Yeah.
They're movies
If
that
I was
begin with the letter A.
if I'm putting like Genie's references on like a tier level thing, I would put it on like the lower tiers
Yeah,
of Genie references.
I put it on B because I like that moment in Aliens and it's giving me dopamine remembering that scene in Aliens. But yeah, it's not good. It's not a great reference because it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's the last shot of the franchise is Genie referencing Aliens.
Yeah. It would be like if the final Cinderella movie ended with the fairy godmother appearing and quoting what's a film that begins with C? Oh, Cannibal Holocaust.
Perfect. I'd actually like Cinderella 3 a little bit more than that happened. That's funny.
Oh my god. Yeah. But yeah, Aladdin and the King of Thieves, not the best sequel, but it exceeded my expectations after from Return of Jafar.
Yeah. Again, this is one of those movies where I feel like the one scene, the Code Red scene, does kind of trump the rest of the movie, same as the rock missing scene in Aladdin 2. But honestly, I think the movie is still solid enough that I would still call it a good movie, beside just regardless of the Code Red scene. I think it's fun and entertaining enough.
Yeah.
And
you know something else. The rock missing scene wasn't deliberate. It was an error that you found to be funny. Whereas with the King of Thieves, like this was like an actual like scene the writers were writing out and thinking, okay, yeah, this is gonna be a super funny scene.
Yes, correct. You put it perfectly. Yeah, the animators actually put effort into that sequence, and it is actually funny. Yeah. So I want to talk about this. This is actually a very rare moment where we actually have all the movies on Blu-ray when it comes to our franchise reviews. You know, when it comes to franchise reviews on the podcast, usually the first movie is the one I own, and then it depends on if the later installments I also own. Sometimes they do, sometimes I don't. This is one of those instances where I do. I do have Return of Jafar and Aladdin King of Thieves on Blu-ray, which is insane to me that I was able to find both these Disney sequels on a nice Blu-ray. So I found this at Bull Moose one day, and I was like, how could I resist? You know, I mainly wanted King of Thieves on Blu-ray because that movie I actually love more than just its one scene. But I was like, I don't hate Return of Jafar that much where I don't mind owning it. So the fact that I have both movies on this nice Blu-ray, I have to keep it for the collection because I do like both movies for what they are. I can see myself returning to them years to come. It's literally just the movies. Looking through it, I don't think there's much of anything when it comes to special features, but it's like, I don't know. You know, I'm not in love with the movies to the point that I need to see them over and over again and need to learn the process of, you know, the behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's not like there's any spicy deleted scenes from the Return of Jafar.
No.
That
No, I'm fine with just the movies being on Blu-ray. So it's actually really neat. I wonder if this is one of those like Disney inside, like, wow, what was it? It would be like DisneyMovieRewards.com where like you can get the Blu-ray. They don't sell them in stores. You only get them from the specific site. So like,
I remember those movie rewards.
Yeah, because I know
that takes me back.
Yeah, William had that for a while where every month he'd get a bunch of new Disney Blu-rays and he'd be like, oh, this is cool. Oh, I don't care about this. And he'd just get rid of it. I don't think they do that anymore though. Cause I don't think that's a thing, but I mean, if I had to guess, that's probably where this Blu-ray came from. Cause I can't imagine this actually being sold in stores. I don't know. I don't feel as though the Aladdin sequels are seen to the point that anybody would really want them outside of huge Disney nerds, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm thankful I was able to find it at a secondhand store and they look great in Blu-ray quality. And I just think it's really cool that I get to have both movies in Blu-ray quality. So I'll take my W with this one. I'm absolutely keeping these in the collection. This is awesome. Very much going to stay in the collection forever and ever.
Yeah. I've got Return of Jafar and King of Thieves on DVD
nice.
As well.
There you go.
Yeah.
You thinking of keeping both of them?
They're both the original packaging, and you know what? I'm not like you know this by now. I'm not the world's biggest Return of Jafar fan. Never will be. But at the same time, you know what? What the hey? I'll keep it as well.
Okay. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm absolutely keeping the King of Thieves as well because like that. It's the perfect movie to watch, honestly, when you're like 7 years old and you're the biggest Aladdin fan ever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. But also, I'm just glad we were able to talk about King of Thieves. It's one of those movies I grew up watching that I want more people to check out. So it's a perfect opportunity to talk about it on the podcast when talking about the Aladdin trilogy.
Yeah. Might just be my favorite Disney direct-to-DVD sequel, actually.
I think it's fair to say it's my favorite, too.
Yeah. In my defense, though, I haven't seen many Disney direct-to-DVD sequels.
What are the other ones I would also shout out? I guess the only other one I can think of shouting out is what's that one? I like Kronk's New Groove. I think that one's fine.
Oh yeah, Kronk's New Groove. Yeah. Well, Kronk's Groove's got its problems, but like
I think it's
still got the zany energy that the first one has.
Yeah.
And like
the only other one I can think about shouting out is Stitch the movie. It's not good, but it has a very similar scene to the rock missing scene where I never get tired of watching it. It's the scene at the very beginning when Pleakley and Jumba are driving and Pleakley goes, "Look, a parking space!" Ah! And they crash the car. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Again, just like the rock missing scene, it became a server meme where I was just like, "Look, a parking space."
Yeah, I have not seen Stitch the movie, but no, I'm going to one day. Instead of watching the new Lilo and Stitch movie, which hopefully might be the last live action reboot with, given how much Snow White has tanked.
I did hear that, yeah, Disney's halting production on a lot of Disney remakes after Snow White flopped, and good, because like I've never heard anybody love these movies. They just keep making them because they make money. Because I don't know what. I guess some people were getting into them, but then I guess Snow White was kind of the last straw. Whatever. I don't really care either way. It's like, good. You know what? I don't want to see the Hercules TikTok musical. I really don't want to see that. So all for the better.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, when that comes out, I'm gonna binge like the actual movies and the series as well, because it's on D+, I think.
Yeah, it's weird that that's on Disney Plus, but not the Aladdin series. I guess that one was more popular in the 2000s. So
oh yeah.
Whatever.
That and House of Mouse. I don't understand why they're not on Disney Plus yet.
I still want the Buzz Lightyear Star Command show on Disney Plus, because I love the pilot movie. I've talked about it on the podcast. I think it rules.
I love that movie too.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. But then the series isn't on Disney Plus. The movie itself is also not on Disney Plus. What the fuck? What's with Buzz Lightyear Star Command? It's better than Lightyear. Why are we not putting it on Disney Plus?
Why is Lightyear on Disney Plus and not like, yeah. It's odd. Yeah.
So,
but, luckily all three of these films were on Disney Plus, which means they were readily available for me to watch when I was at my college dorm and could not get to my DVD copies of these movies.
Yeah, for all its faults, Disney Plus can be convenient at times, so it's good for them, I guess.
Yeah.
Was there anything else we wanted to say about Aladdin before we wrap things up?
Just the fact that he has no nipples.
It's a good point.
I envy him, because if there's one thing I hate in a movie, it's a goddamn nipple scene, because I have the most sensitive nipples of any man that ever has or will walk this earth.
I think I remember you complaining about the nipples getting cut up in Pink Floyd's The Wall when you were on the podcast last.
Exactly. This is gonna be my running joke.
Sure.
Every time I show up on this podcast, I have to air out my grievances about how much I hate my nipples getting. Well, they never have gotten.
Right.
I'm just imagining the scenario, and I don't want that scenario to happen.
I mean, I've never been shot at by a gun, but I still fear it, I wouldn't want to get shot. Like, just because it hasn't happened to me doesn't mean I don't have that in the back of my mind. So same with being stabbed. I've never been stabbed, but I don't want to be stabbed.
No one wants to be stabbed.
No.
I could maybe a few people, but they don't speak for the whole human race.
Of course. I guess one thing I wanted to mention last minute is I found the Good Time Entertainment's Aladdin on YouTube recently, because when I went to look up Aladdin on Letterboxd, you know how Letterboxd will give you options for other things. So it says like Aladdin, and then under it is also Aladdin. It says Aladdin 1993, and I go, oh, is that the movie I watched? Because I watched it as a kid growing up. I had the Good Time Entertainment Aladdin on DVD, because I guarantee you it's because, I don't know, a grandparent or a distant relative was like, oh, I'll get my grandson something for Christmas or his birthday or whatever. And they just found Aladdin and thought, oh, Aladdin, perfect. And they just gave it to me. And it's like, this isn't the Disney film. But I remember watching it anyway, because it was the early 2000s. What the fuck else was I going to do? Go outside, read? No, man, I'm going to watch TV. So I rewatched it. It sucks. But I actually found it kind of funny in how much it sucks. So I highly recommend people check it out. Just look up, I don't know, Aladdin 1993. I'm sure you'll find the whole thing. It's only like 48 minutes long. It's barely feature length. So shout out to the Aladdin ripoff I watched as a kid and thought, wow, this sucks because it's not the Disney movie. And yeah, it sucks, but it's kind of funny in how much it sucks.
It sounds like a hell of a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it over Aladdin 2019. I'll say that.
Okay. I have not watched that Aladdin, I don't think, but I have watched plenty of like Aladdin like inspired things during my Aladdin phase. Like if I saw characters on a magic carpet, then I would watch it. I would just watch it. I think there was like on Netflix back in like 2010 when Netflix was barely even a streaming service. It was just like a list of movies. You go like left to right. That's how far back I remember Netflix. And there was like a Looney Tunes special featuring like some of the characters on like a magic carpet or something. And I was like, oh my god, they're gonna make an Aladdin reference. I've got to watch this. And for all I know, this could have been well before the movie even came out. So like I was confused why none of the I was confused why Bugs or Daffy didn't make any Robin Williams references.
Because it was from the 50s, I would imagine, and it's like, yeah, that the movie was still 40 years away.
Yeah, unless Bugs and Daffy also have like genie-like powers and they can see like into things from the future.
Me, I can see into the future, Doc.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad. I never got into the Looney Tunes as much as I did like any other cartoon characters. Like, and they're like some of the most popular and funny cartoon characters of all time. I should have gotten into them more when I was getting into like animation.
Hey man, it's the year of Toon Maxing, so you know now is a better time than ever. You know, go to Internet Archive. There's a whole list of Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies on there. I highly recommend everybody do that.
Awesome, yeah. And also, woohoo! Coyote versus Acme finally getting its release through Ketchup, I believe.
Yes, because they're the same people that did The Day the Earth Blew Up.
Yeah, but yeah, it's never too late to get into the Looney Tunes. That is the one thing I will take away from tonight.
The Aladdin episode. We brought it back to Looney Tunes. That's becoming a theme here.
Yeah.
All right, Standrew. It's time.
Yes.
Shout out your stuff, dude. Where can people find you?
They can find me on the Standrew YouTube channel where I post literally anything that comes to my mind. Sometimes it'll be shit posts. Sometimes it'll be like little videos with my voice and I talk about things I like and theories about shows I like. And sometimes if you're lucky, I will throw back to the old days and release a YouTube poop. But I am pretty stacked on like college stuff, so it might not be for like a while. But it's coming. I'm cooking. Don't think I'm not cooking. And also, I've got my own podcast, Rock of Ages, where I've got my friends of multiple like backgrounds of like alt rock and classic rock and musical theater, and we just talk about our favorite albums and well, actually we just talk about like every single daily topic that pops into our heads, and maybe sometimes we might also talk about the album that the episode is themed after. But yeah, Rock of Ages, definitely check us out. We're funny, or at least we try to be.
I know the feeling all too well. We try to be funny. Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This was a great episode.
This was a great episode. This was a good episode. I agree. Your links will be in the description. I'm very happy we talked about all 3 Aladdin films. And I think that's going to do it. So thank you guys all for watching. And also just a reminder, this podcast was brought to you by Sand. It's everywhere. Get used to it.
I hate you. Just